We're in the Motor City right across the street from Ford Field where the Detroit Lions play their football. It's Comerica Park. D-backs kicking off this 3-city, 8-game road trip with 2 against the Tigers. Our first visit here in 6 years. It's the D-backs in Detroit on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from Comerica Park and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. It's a quick stop here in Detroit. 2 games against the Tigers. It's also the first road interleague game of the season, Bob, so that means tonight there is a D-backs DH.
You know, that's one of the toughest things for a National League manager to figure out who DHs when you go to an American League park. Do you rest one of your regulars? Do you put one of your bench guys in there, your best pinch hitter perhaps? Well, Paul Goldschmidt is serving the role as DH tonight. He's 1 for 11 lifetime in that role. A .302 hitter when he plays first base. Goldie grudgingly agreed to be the DH tonight.
We kick off the road trip with Zach Greinke on the mound. He's on a roll. Last 9 starts, 7-1.
He's been really good, and as Todd told you just a moment ago, his 13 wins and 25 starts against the Tigers, most against any opponent. Zach is 22-12 in interleague play in his career.
Yeah, he of course pitched here a lot when he was a member of the Kansas City Royals in this American League Central. We are just about set to go. First of 2, the D-backs and the Tigers from Detroit on Fox Sports Arizona. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Gila River Casinos. Experience winning like you've never imagined at the Gila River Casinos, Lone Butte, Wild Horse Pass, and Bequiva. By Tire Pros, everything rotates around you. By Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. By Santan Ford, we are Santan Ford. By the Donor Network of Arizona, sign up, save lives. Visit DonateLifeAZ.org. And by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by your Valley Honda dealer, where you get more standard features for less money. By Oregano. Step up to the plate for a guaranteed home run at Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint, location statewide. By Gigablast Internet from Cox. Get ready for the gig life. And by State Farm, here to help life go right. Detroit, Michigan. D-backs first visit to Comerica Park since the 2011 season. Zach Greinke gets the baseball against Detroit's Buck Farmer. First of two against the Tigers is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Michigan, a little humid here, 84 degrees. It was sticky and muggy all afternoon long, but it should be a lovely evening for baseball. First of two, the Diamondbacks and the Tigers. Torey Lovullo's ball club 7-1 in interleague play this year. Sweeps at Chase Field with both the Indians and the White Sox. They split a quick two-game visit from these Tigers in Phoenix just over a month ago. Here's the lineup for the D-backs tonight. It's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
After much consideration, this is what Torey Lovullo settled on for the first game of this interleague matchup. Gregor Blanco will lead it off in left field tonight. David Peralta out in right field. Paul Goldschmidt, as we mentioned, serving as the designated hitter. Jake Lamb at third base. Chris Owings at short. Brandon Drury at second base. Daniel Descalso filling in for Goldie at first base. Ray Fuentes out in center field. Jeff Mathis doing the catching. And right-hander Zach Greinke on the mound.
And on the mound for the Tigers, your Ram Truck starting pitcher is Buck Farmer. He's a 26-year-old right-hander. He's pitched big league innings with the Tigers in each of the previous 3 seasons and never won, not once. But this year, Farmer has 2 wins in 2 starts without giving up a single run.
That's a really good straight changeup. Throws a 4-seam fastball. Occasionally will try to sink that fastball. Also has a slider, but the changeup is the pitch he'll go to when he needs a ground ball or a swing and a miss.
Big outfield in this ballpark. Here's a look at Detroit defensively. It's brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Former Diamondback Justin Upton will be out in left field this evening. Alex Presley in center field. J.D. Martinez over in right field. It'll be Castellanos, Iglesias, Kinsler, and Cabrera third to first across the infield tonight. Alex Avila behind the home plate, and Buck Farmer, the right-hander, on the mound.
The crew chief behind the plate for the umpires tonight. That's Jerry Lane. He'll have the balls and strikes. Tom Woodring is at first base. Mike Estabrook at second. And Marvin Hudson is at third. And as we start this road trip, first of 2 against the Tigers, BB, let's take a look now at your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Well, Pick up where you left off. That applies both to the Diamondbacks offense, who scored 10 runs in the final couple of innings in the last ball game they played, and also for Zach Greinke. He took a little time off to celebrate at home with his wife after the birth of their son Griffin. Yeah.
Second son Griffin.
Yeah, so right back where you started from.
Well, the Tigers begin play today. 2 games under 500. They're 30-32 for the year, but in the weak American League Central, that puts Detroit only 3 games off the division lead. So at this point, they're still very much in the thick of things. Gregor Blanco in left field tonight. He'll lead it off. 270 and 1 home run. And we're just about set to go on a lovely evening here in Detroit, Michigan. Strike 1, we're underway. Blanco really settling in nicely with the Diamondbacks. He's walked a whole bunch lately, filling that leadoff hitter's role while A.J. Pollock is out. That's fouled back, and it's 0-2. Blanco has scored 16 runs in his last 13 starts. They've got a lot of production out of him so far. Knocks that one into right field. A leadoff single. Blanco on board again.
We've talked about it at length. In the absence of A.J. Pollock, you wondered where the production, where the defense, where the base running was going to come from, and they've kind of hammed and egged it very well. Gregor Blanco, Ray Fuentes, Chris Owings moving to right field from time to time. I mean, obviously, you want A.J. back, and you want him back yesterday, but the guys have done a nice job filling in.
David Peralta in the 2-hole again tonight, 312 and 5 homers. Blanco 6 for 6 in his stolen base attempts this year, and Peralta looks at ball 1. This was David Peralta coming off a 3-hit game Sunday in the win over the Brewers, including his 5th home run of the year. Bang. Cabrera holding Blanco on the bag at first.
A combination of the Gong Show and Petticoat Junction there with a woo-woo.
Petticoat Junction.
How about that?
Nice bowl. No real shift at all against Peralta, who goes the other way quite a bit. Tigers play him pretty much straight away. This could be a very good park for David Peralta, Bob. There's a whole lot of room in those outfield gaps.
Yeah, big gaps, and if you bunch the gaps, it leaves a lot of room down the foul lines. A lot of territory to cover out there. You need some outfielders with good legs.
And in thinking that, Torey Lovullo has Blanco in left and Fuentes in center tonight, with Peralta playing right field. That's fouled off. Here's a look at Buck Farmer. You know, he's been one of these guys who shuttles back and forth between the minors, occasional big league appearances, mostly as an insurance arm of the bullpen. Every once in a while, a starter too. And had never really done much of anything at the big league level until today. 2 starts, 2 wins, getting his 3rd start tonight.
Yeah, even down at AAA Toledo, he was 2-3 with an ERA just under 4. So, you know, numbers don't exactly jump off the page at you to deserve a call up to the major leagues, but he's been really good this go-round.
Here's the skipper, Brad Ausmus. Bench coach Gene Lamond on the left there. 1-2 on Peralta. Blanco holds, and it's even 2 balls and 2 strikes. Talking with Torey Lovullo today, Dave McKay was mentioning that because they have such good catching back there, Avila back there tonight, McCann as well, these guys can be tough to run on.
Yeah, you were down there when I asked Torrey about that. Sometimes teams that don't run themselves a lot.
Oh, what a jump.
Oh.
Peralta fouled it off. Blanco had that bag stolen cold.
Yeah, I was asking Torrey, teams that don't run a lot themselves, like the Tigers, are they a little more lax defending the stolen base? And he said not this team. Brad Ausmus, the manager's a former catcher. As you mentioned, Avila behind the home plate tonight, thrown out 41% this year. Yeah, they really have an emphasis on trying to slow down the opposing running game. So see how it goes tonight. I don't think that's going to stop the Diamondbacks, but it might not be as easy as we thought.
Well, the threat is always there, certainly. Fastball misses in, it's full. 3-2 on Peralta with Goldie on deck. Well, Torrey was saying he thought maybe that's because Brad Ausmus is a former catcher.
Sure.
You know those former catchers, they're
Yeah.
smart cookies. They know what they're doing.
You take that advanced scouting report and immediately go to that page. If you're a catcher, how are they throwing guys out? How are they holding runners on base?
3-2 to Peralta. There goes Blanco for second. There's the strikeout, and there is the throw-out. I mentioned these guys can be tough to run on. David Peralta and Jerry Lane having a bit of a conversation there.
Yeah, not a good jump at all. Blanco depending on David Peralta to protect him there at the plate. If the pitch is close, put it in play. If it's out of the zone, take it for a ball. That time David chased a bad pitch. Even with the short hop throw, Avila able to get Gregor Blanco at second base.
Oh, here's Torrey out of the dugout to talk to Jerry Lane. Quickly, base is empty, 2 down now.
I guess right, Marty.
Paul Goldschmidt, the DH today.
Mentioned in the open of the show, Goldie 1 for 11 as a designated hitter. He's 2 for 17 lifetime as a pinch hitter, but 302 when he starts at first base.
I would start him every day, but hey,
think
that's
so.
just me. Breaking balls in there. This was Goldie on Sunday, and wow, did that one fly for a grand slam.
He's hitting balls out there that are hitting parts of this stadium that have never seen a baseball before.
He's hitting it off drain pipes and all kinds of places. 1-1 now. That was Goldie's 14th home run this year. So he's now top 5 in the majors in both RBIs and OPS. Leading the National League in walks, in runs scored, on base percentage. Taps the 2-1 fair. Castellanos at third, has to throw across his body, and Goldie reaches easily.
Well, that'll help those DH numbers. An infield hit down that third baseline. Castellanos playing well back at third base. It looked like that ball might have even grazed the bag on the way by. He had to reach back toward fair territory to make the play, and the off-balance throw way late to get Goldie.
Now a chance for Jake Lamb. Jake, 276. He's got 16 home runs. Those 57 runs batted in, leads the majors. Not much wind to speak of as of yet. Funny though, they've got some flags on the very tip top of the left field scoreboard that are gusting pretty good, but the flag in left center is almost still out there. So it's pretty calm in the ballpark tonight.
So if you hit one up there above the scoreboard in left field, the wind will probably knock it down a little bit.
Just get a low line drive. Well, the way some of these guys have been going, that's not out of the question.
Yeah.
Might hit one to Ford Field back there. Just across the street behind a left field foul pole. 1-0 to Lamb. That's in there for a strike. Buck Farmer, a 5th round pick by the Tigers out of Georgia Tech 5 years ago. Made quite an impression when he came up for his first start this season. That was at the end of May in Chicago against the White Sox. 6 1/3 scoreless innings. He had 11 strikeouts in that game. So something's different for Buck Farmer this year.
Yeah, that was one of those double-header call-ups too, where you had a rain out somewhere along the line. You play one of those split double-headers. You need some help from your farm system, and Buck Farmer was the guy they called on, and boy, did he respond.
Yeah, so they gave him another start. That was here at Comerica Park last Wednesday. 6 2/3 scoreless against the Angels. This is lifted out to Upton in left field, and it's going to drop in front. Goldie digging for third, and he's in there. Loop single off the bat of Jake Lamb. Third hit in this inning against Buck Farmer.
The shortstop, number 16, Chris Owings.
As always, good aggressive base running by Goldie as Jake Lamb just cues that one right off the end of the bat. Gets out there and dives in front of Justin Upton in left field, who was a little casual coming in after that ball, allowing Goldie to go first to third right in his face.
Chris Owings, the shortstop, batting fifth tonight. 297 and 7 homers. CO sat out Sunday's win over Milwaukee just ahead of yesterday's off day, so Torrey was able to get Chris a little bit of extended downtime. Bunting for a base hit. Castellanos charges from third. He can't pick it up. Goldie scores, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks. 3 consecutive 2-out hits lead to a D-backs run.
Yeah, that's just an alert at bat right there by Chris Owings. He saw where Castellanos was playing down there at third base, realized if he could get it down and keep it away from the pitcher's mound, he had a chance to get himself an RBI base hit with a bunt, which is exactly what he does.
Castellanos leads the major leagues, by the way, in errors by third baseman, so that's not a bad place to go. A run is in. 2 on, 2 down for Brandon Drury. 284, 7 home runs. First run that Buck Farmer has given up all year long. Fastball's in there for strike one. Drury has home runs in each of his last 2 games. Jake Lamb at second, Chris Owings at first. A run is in. Our State Farm winning combo, Brandon Drury lately. Big home run to give the Diamondbacks the lead on Saturday, then a critical insurance run Sunday that really opened the floodgates when they got 5 in the 7th and 5 more in the 8th.
Yeah, obviously good to see Brandon not only pulling one to left field for a long home run, but staying on a pitch out away from him and driving it out there in the pool at Chase Field.
Down 0-2 here. That one's a ball. Drury is now homered 3 times in his last 5 games. Buck Farmer has already given up a run. Now he's over 20 pitches in the first inning. Three straight D-backs hits, all with 2 outs. Came in with a fastball, missed, and it's 2-2. Nicholas Castellanos at third. Daniel Descalso on deck. He would be next. Drury knocks it into right field. Here comes Lamb. Martinez bobbles it out there. Owings stops at third. RBI for Drury, and it's 2-0. Make that 4 consecutive 2-out hits.
Well, what a nice approach. Brandon Drury just seeing the ball so well right now, lets it travel, get deep in the zone out there on the outer third of the plate, and then just lines it into right field. Lamb was going to score easily. Chris Owings was going to advance to third base easily. J.D. Martinez did kick it around a little bit out there in right field, but no harm, no foul.
The first baseman tonight, Daniel Descalso, 218 and 5 home runs. Descalso started all 6 games on the last homestand in left field for the injured Yasmani Tomas. Went 4 for 21 with a homer. Able to check his swing, but it's in there for a strike. 0-2.
I don't remember the exact wording Torey Lovello telling us about Yasmani Tomas. They were going to get him on the ground today at Salt River Fields.
He's got that nagging groin hip flexor issue. So they got Yasmani out there working out in Scottsdale. A.J. Pollock as well. Chris Owings, an RBI single, he's at third. Drury, an RBI single at first. Well, this is a great way to get right to this guy who hasn't given up a single run all year. Suddenly he's down 2-0 and just trying to survive this first inning. See that flag in left center back there, dead still. Drury takes off. This is a bouncer to second for Kinsler. And that's the end of the inning. A quick lead for Zach Greinke coming up. Already 2 runs are in. Greinke takes the mound in Detroit after this. Field, the football facility, just tucked back in there next to Comerica Park in Detroit, where your Ram truck starter for the Diamondbacks is Zach Greinke. 8-3 with a 3.20 ERA, coming off a win over the Padres last Wednesday, and back from paternity leave after he and his wife Emily had their second child, a baby boy named Griffin Greinke. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, sure does. Baby needs new shoes. Got to keep pitching well, Zach.
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Not an issue whatsoever. And as we mentioned, a very comfortable venue for him. Pitching here at Comerica Park, a very comfortable opponent. 25 starts against the Tigers in his career.
Well, Ian Kinsler, the veteran second baseman, will get it started. 251, 4 homers. Tigers just back from a series at Fenway Park over the weekend. They were off yesterday as well. Kinsler had 2 hits in each of the last 2 games in Boston. That's a bouncer to third, right to Jake Lamb. Very quickly, 1 down. Here's the lineup for Brad Ausmus and his Detroit Tigers.
And Kinsler leading it off at second base. Alex Avila, the catcher, making his way to the plate right now. Miguel Cabrera will be at first base. A couple of Martinez's in the middle. Victor will serve as the DH, followed by J.D., the right fielder. Justin Upton out in left field. Nicholas Castellanos at third base. Alex Presley will be out in center field. Jose Iglesias at shortstop, and Buck Farmer, the right-hander, on the mound.
Here is Alex Avila, the catcher, having a very good year. 322 and 9 home runs. He has had that bat come alive after some pretty quiet seasons in recent years. D-backs have the shift on against the left-hand hitter, and there's strike 1. Owings, the shortstop, out there in short right field. Drury near the bag at second.
That's a great shot there. The area around home plate mimics home plate itself.
Very clever.
Yeah, usually it's a circle around behind home plate, but as you can see, they've made it look just like the dish that Jeff Mathis is sitting behind right now.
You can see the shadows and everything. There's some weird light mixtures out there right now. Fastball misses up. Avila begins tonight with a 4-game hitting streak, including a pair of homers during that streak. And he's playing almost exclusively against right-hand pitchers this year. All 9 of his home runs have come against righties. One trademark with Zach Greinke this year, he is quick in the first inning. 13 starts this season. He's given up a total of 1 run and 4 hits in the first inning. And he's been nearly as dominant in the second inning of games. Full count now on Avila, 3-2. Cabrera on deck. Well, this guy's a very disciplined hitter, at least he has been this year. Sees a lot of pitches, takes his walks, and he's got a real knack for laying off curveballs and sliders, especially from righties, so he's kind of a tricky matchup for Zach Greinke. Jeff Mathis behind the plate as always for Zach. With a fastball down and in. Our eye on defense for the D-backs, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Outfield will be comprised of Blanco in left, Fuentes in center, Peralta over in right field. Lamb and Owings on the left side of the infield, Drury and Descalso on the right side. Jeff Mathis behind the plate for right-hander Zach Greinke.
Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera going through something of a power drought right now. He's gone 20 games without a home run. And he's homered just once since May 2nd. Fastball's in there, and it's 0-1. 268, only 5 home runs all year. And that OPS there is down more than 170 points from last season. Cabrera has dealt with nagging injuries all season long. Hurt his back in the World Baseball Classic. He was on the DL earlier this year with a groin problem, and then later he sat for a bit with an oblique issue. The injury starting to pile up now at the age of 34.
He's been such a good hitter for such a long time, and you mentioned the injuries certainly have affected his bat speed a little bit. Those close to the Tigers say he's having a lot of problems catching up to good fastballs this year.
Greinke ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, there's a good example.
I mean, Zach is not overpowering with his fastball. He'll consistently be between 88 and 92, 93, depending on whether he wants to add a little or take a little bit off. But even that last fastball at 92, Cabrera well tardy on it.
Especially having issues getting the fastballs away. There have been more swings and misses with him on those pitches. That's been the place to get him out recently. That's where Mathis sets up, but a breaking ball's in the dirt. 2-2 now. Well, Cabrera's recent offensive downturn has almost become a pattern, if you want, a tradition maybe in recent seasons. The annual Miguel Cabrera swoon. That's what one paper here called it. The switch hitter Victor Martinez on deck. They're kind of used to this. At some point fairly early in the year, Cabrera goes through something like this, checks his swing. Well, Greinke's gone full on back-to-back hitters now. He walked Avila. 3-2 on Cabrera. Avila breaks for second, and that's a strikeout, and that's a throwout. How about that? Strike him out, throw him outs in each half of the first inning. We're through 1 in Detroit, 2-0 Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks as a shock and awe offense continues here in the Midwest. Hey, fans, a D-backs home run today means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
I think you may be onto something there. You may
I like it.
want to print up some T-shirts or something. Well, Zach Greinke gets the strikeout of Cabrera. Jeff Mathis throws out Avila trying to steal. That ends the bottom of the first. And now Ray Fuentes, the center fielder tonight, leads off the second against Buck Farmer. Farmer coming off a 27-pitch first inning. Fuentes 207. He sits safely in 4 of his last 5 games. That's foul behind Dave McKay at first. Blanco in left field for Torey Lovullo tonight. Fuentes gets the start in center with Descalso at first and Goldie the DH. So as Fuentes strikes out, you need some guys here, BB, that can cover some ground in this massive outfield. It's kind of like the Midwest version of Coors Field.
It's a big ballpark, a lot of room in the gaps. It's 420 to straightaway center field. A little bit shorter in the gaps in right center. It says 365, but if you move over a few steps towards center field from that gap in right center, the fence goes back. Yeah, you really got to step on it to get it out of here between the gaps.
420 to dead center. Here's Jeff Mathis spanning ninth. Jeff in a 1 for 22 right now. You had a stat when you were doing your research on Jeff Mathis when we were trying to figure out, I wonder who's going to DH.
Yeah, he's filled the DH role more than any other player on the Diamondbacks roster. I believe it was 14 times Jeff Mathis has been a designated hitter in his career.
Played 7 seasons in Anaheim, 1 year in Toronto. So he's been a long-time American leaguer. Now this is the count where you really want to see Jeff get a base hit. He has gone 31 consecutive games without a 2-strike hit. That's the longest active streak in baseball. Alex Avila behind the plate. And now make it, at least for the moment, 32. The leadoff man, Gregor Blanco. D-backs 13 games over 500, 39 and 26. And as we start this one tonight, only a game and a half behind the Rockies for the NL West lead. On the road after that 5-1 homestand. But the road is where things definitely need to improve here. We'll be in Detroit, Philadelphia, then a big series at Coors Field coming up next week. 13 and 17 road record for Torey Lovullo's club. And the Diamondbacks as a team hitting just .219 away from Chase Field. That's tied with the Cubs for the worst road batting average in the majors. They are even with Chicago, dead last. Dave Magadan, his hitters just rake at Chase Field. But the road has been a different story. But Torey expects that'll even out over the course of some of these long road trips. That's just law of averages, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We've talked about it in the past. The schedule's a little different on the road than it is at home. You hit a little closer to game time when you're on the road as opposed to when you're home at Chase Field. A lot of guys at Chase Field, after their regular batting practice is done and the other team has taken their BP, those guys will go to the cage sometimes, get even more swings in. Not sure if it's just a matter of quantity of batting practice before the ball game or the timing of the batting practice, but certainly something Torey and his staff are going to continue to explore as we move forward.
Well, Blanco takes a couple of pitches on 3-0. Count is full now, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I mean, they tried to take batting practice in shorts today.
It was muggy today.
Yeah, the temperature was up in the near 90 and the humidity about the same. So the guys came out in t-shirts and shorts today to take batting practice.
Very sticky all afternoon. By the way, this note from the great Pat O'Connell, who's on the road trip with us, just tied the major league record for most strikeout double plays in a single inning. 2.
How about that? Can't get any more than that.
And strike him out, throw him outs in the top and bottom of the first inning. Another 3-2 to Blanco. And Farmer strikes out the side. A nice bounce back inning for Buck Farmer, but the Diamondbacks lead it in Detroit 2-0. D-backs will celebrate Independence Day a little early this year, the 1st of July. Game time is 7:10. 20,000 fans will get a soft-style State 48 patriotic t-shirt. And then after the Diamondbacks-Rockies game, Relax will open up the roof. A fireworks spectacular presented by Gila River Casinos. Get your spot now for the game and the fireworks on July 1. DBacks.com. Victor Martinez, the DH. First pitch swinging, drives it out to center. Fuentes is there. One pitch, one out for Greinke.
Well, that's the plan of attack, I think, for any pitcher pitching in this ballpark. If you can get batters to hit the ball from gap to gap out there to center field, that's where fly balls just go to die. 420 feet to straightaway center.
Whole lot of room out there. As you can see, it's an enormous outfield. Not that far down the line, certainly, at least in right field, 330, 345 down the left field line. J.D. Martinez, dangerous hitter, 305 and 10 home runs. Martinez, really one of the more underrated hitters in the American League. Suffered a right foot sprain in spring training, opened up the year on the DL. He was still hurt when the Tigers were at Chase Field last month. He missed their first 33 games. 2-0. This guy over the last 3 years here, been a 300 hitter. He's belted 83 home runs. In there for a strike, and it's 2-1.
Well, it's better than usual. It only took me 1 out into the bottom half of the second inning to find the radar gun here at the ballpark.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in here. I've been looking around myself, actually. 2-2.
Took a little while.
Swing and a miss. Greinke has his second strikeout.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBacks50 at papajohns.com.
It may be over our heads. There's nothing in center field, as we showed you a moment ago. They got the big hitter's background out there. A lot of statues, but the usual scoreboard and everything else to read, it's kind of hard to find here.
They have Zach Greinke's pitch count and balls and strikes just below the scoreboard in left field, but the radar guns are up on the facing of the third deck.
We'll have to talk to him about that.
We'll get that fixed.
Justin Upton. 269, 13 home runs. Upton a hot bat right now. Had a grand slam in the Tigers win at Fenway Park Sunday night. And he starts tonight riding a 10-game hitting streak. He's got 4 home runs during his 10-game streak. It's one to center field. Fuentes, light sky out there. And Greinke works a very quick 1-2-3 second inning. We headed to third at Comerica Park, 2-0 D-backs.
During the game is just since I don't do that often, I'll probably try to treat it more like I'm playing defense and, physically rest, but mentally try to stay in the game a little bit. But before the game, no, it's not really that different. Especially being a new ballpark, I'll take ground ball sage, kind of get ready for hopefully tomorrow.
Todd Walsh back here in Detroit as we prepare for this inning. In the first pitch, Paul Goldschmidt playing the role of Jim Ray Hart as your designated hitter. Thought I'd throw that one at you.
Wow.
You impressed?
Yeah, I am.
Thought I'd go with the Ron Bloomberg card, didn't you?
Well, being from New York.
Well, hey. But I do have a follow-up to that in a second here as you set the stage here for this inning, Steve. Interesting comments from Paul on playing that role.
Peralta, as he so often does, just shoots one the other way, a leadoff single.
So, Bob, I'm hoping you'll appreciate this. That Torey Lovullo's talking about trying to get Paul off his feet. Travel day yesterday, DH today. He'll play first base tomorrow. I asked Paul about it. Are you on board with this, with the plan? In his answer, and I hope to get this posted on our website, foxsportsarizona.com, he said, look, it really doesn't matter. I'm a player, I want to play, but it really doesn't matter how I feel.
That's true.
That's the skipper.
Yeah. I mean, every player, especially somebody as good as Goldie, not only offensively but defensively.
Oh boy, deep fly ball. Upton is looking up, and there it goes. How about that for the DH? He's supposed to hit. After all, it's a designated home run for Goldie, his 15th, and it's 4-0 Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the very position description tells you what you're supposed to do. You're the player that's designated to hit. Boy, did he ever. That
so
was
far, so good.
Mile high.
That's a Jumbo Jack, a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with a purchase of a large drink at Jack in the Box. This was a no-doubter.
2 for 2 with a home run, a couple runs driven in. All of a sudden, he's starting to like this DH stuff.
Boy, so far, the first 5 hitters in the Diamondbacks lineup, 6 for 8 against Buck Farmer. Jake Lamb.
He did offer, by the way, to run Starbucks to guys between innings since he'll have a little more time on his hands.
Did he really? No.
He said it.
It's a little hot for that. Maybe get a nice coffee.
What's funny is you always say, well, we're going to let him DH and get him off his feet. Well, you heard Goldie. He goes through his regular pregame routine. He does everything he would normally do, but once the game starts, when the rest of the team goes out to play defense, that's when he goes up to the cage or rides the exercise bike or does something to stay loose until his next at bat. So it's not like he's really off his feet over there in a hammock or something.
Jake Lamb finds the gap in left center. That rolls to the wall. The hit parade continues. Lamb, who singled and scored in the first, has a double in the third, his 13th of the year.
You know what? It was interesting as you take a look at this one here into the gap. Paul said it with a smile on his face. He wasn't throwing his manager under the bus. He simply said, this is the chain of command.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter.
And as Torey operates, everybody knows sometimes 3 or 4 days in advance what they're going to do. He's got everything mapped out. So I'm sure it wasn't a surprise. And I'm sure even without being told that he expected to be the DH, because that's what we saw Gibby do and Chip Hale as well. Chris Owings now. CO had an RBI single in the first. Diamondbacks 4 runs on 8 hits. Still no outs in the third.
So you guys wanted latte and smoky.
What are you, the DH? What time is the Red Wings skate around? I want to be at that.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I think they have the roof on the new building. They're ready to roll here. You heard about this? Joe's gone.
Is it literally gone, or is
it's going to be? I took it last time we were here,
but that building's not very old, is it? Joe Louis?
Joe? Yeah, it's old enough.
Wait a minute. Let's back up there. You took some stuff.
Oh, now it's stealing stuff from the garage.
Going to the garage, yep.
There's a U-Haul going back to Phoenix. Now I know what's up. 1979.
That's old.
My sources tell me.
Forgot to put a press box in. That was an afterthought.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oops. Well, it's not as bad as forgetting bullpens.
There's that.
Chad Bell, the left-hander, warming up with the Tiger bullpen now. Single by Peralta, home run by Goldie, double by Lamb. Owings ahead, 2 balls and no strikes. Todd Walsh probably comes here all the time, right, for Coyotes?
I would think so, yeah.
We used to. After the realignment, that all changed.
When they broke up the Adams division?
Yeah, and a little after that.
Oh, all right.
They sent Detroit to the Eastern Conference, but this was the...
Put them in the Smythe division.
Yes.
No?
With the Golden Seal. No, they were out. No, it was that was the first real rivalry with the then Phoenix Coyotes. And
I watched a documentary on the California Golden Seals on the last flight. They eventually became the Cleveland Barons.
yes,
And then they were molded into
the Scouts in Kansas
City Scouts. And then they became, what happened to the Scouts?
I'm waiting for a game reference here at some point.
No,
That's where it feels like we're going.
No, this is a good NHL quiz for you. Golden Seals became the Barons, who became the Scouts.
The Scouts. They merged with somebody?
They had to have, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a dead end. I think it just stopped right there.
There's the 3-1 to CO. Popped it up behind first. Cabrera's over there. It'll be Ian Kinsler. That's the first out in the 3rd. So how many times a year do the Coyotes come out here now?
Now just once, which was sad because it's such a great hockey town. It is hockey town, and the rivalry was born in year number 1 with an epic playoff series along the way, and then a couple more, and then 2 later, and a game 7 at home where Shane Dunn couldn't play. We all thought he was going to pull a Willis Reed and come out and play after dislocating his shoulder early in the series, a series that I frankly could have and should have won, and I would have not wanted to have played that team the way they were rolling until Shane Dunn did not run through Jimmy Howard and hit the boards instead. It was one of the most difficult things that I think any Coyote fan ever witnessed. But the rivalry is so spirited. As Shane will tell you, though, it's always been one way because Detroit is, well, they're a good hockey team.
Well, that's what they used to say
years.
about Yankees Red Sox.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Willis Reed played hockey?
Okay, here we go.
He was very tall.
See, it all started with a bad knee.
Brandon Drury. I'll tell you what, Buck Farmer does not look like a guy who just struck out the side in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, really is kind of a schizophrenic change here. The 1st inning he gave up 5 hits. 2nd inning came out and struck out the side. Now granted it was 8-9-1, but still 3 consecutive strikeouts in that 2nd inning, and then the doors have fallen off again here in the 3rd.
By the way, I'm told by a highly reliable local source that the Kansas City Scouts became the Colorado Rockies hockey team.
Okay, there you go.
And then they went somewhere, right? They didn't just turn into the Avalanche.
Oh, that was Quebec.
Yeah, the Quebec Nordique
With
the Peter Stastny.
Yeah.
Boy, this is confusing.
You don't want to talk about Minnesota going to Dallas and then the whole.
I miss the North Stars.
Yeah.
Cesar Maniago. My favorite NHL goalie ever. Next to Gilles Gilbert.
Bill Goldsworthy on me. I'm going to drop the mic, which I probably should anyway.
Kicking in and out. 3-0 on Drury. Oh, that's well hit. Deep left field. Brandon Drury. How about this? 3 straight games with a home run for Drury. And boy, the Diamondbacks are all over Buck Farmer here in Detroit. Brandon Drury has now homered 4 times in his last 6 games. 3 straight with a home run. 6-0 Diamondbacks.
Well, Farmer is not fooling anybody in this 3rd inning, and I think that's probably going to be the end of the afternoon for him as Brad Ausmus makes his way out to the mound.
Diamondbacks jumping all over the Tigers. 6-0 in the 3rd. Back after this.
Brandon Drury's 8th home run of the season. Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Brandon Drury, home runs in 3 straight games. 4 homers in his last 6, and the Diamondbacks dispatched Buck Farmer after only 2 1/3, a guy who had not given up a single run in 2 starts this year. Tagged for 6 earned on 9 hits in 2 1/3. And on from the Tiger bullpen, this is the left-hander Chad Bell, his 6th appearance of the year. First baseman tonight is Daniel Descalso.
Yeah, that's the bad news for Buck Farmer. The good news is in 2 innings he struck out 4 and didn't walk a batter.
You're always looking on the bright side of things. Diamondbacks, worst road batting average in the majors. Certainly not the case here tonight. Descalso lifts one toward the left field corner. Upton in foul ground, and he whiffed on it. That wall was closing in fast, and he missed it.
Yeah, a little more room down the foul lines than a lot of ballparks, but as you get way down into the corner in right field and left field, those stands come out rather close to the foul line. Upton kind of ran an S pattern after that ball and couldn't get to the spot quickly enough.
So Descalso gets a second life here, 1-1 now. He grounded out his first time up. The first baseman today with Goldie as the DH. Diamondbacks already with 6 runs on 9 hits. Chad Bell just called up from AAA Toledo before the game on Sunday. He started 6 games with the Toledo Mud Hens, so he can give Brad Ausmus some length here out of the bullpen. His major league debut came last month at Chase Field. First big league strikeout came against Jake Lamb. That's going to get out of play. D-backs 7-1 in interleague play this year. They swept the Indians during that first homestand of the season at Chase Field and swept the White Sox not too long ago. They split a 2-game visit from these Tigers in Phoenix last month. And tonight their first interleague game on the road. First game with the DH. And boy, they are all hitting 6 runs on 9 hits. Called strike 3. Jerry Lane rings up Descalso. 2 outs in the 3rd. Jerry Lane is in absolutely no hurry to signal ball or strike.
We've talked about Jerry Lane and some of the other umpires in the major leagues. They give you a verbal call at home plate, so the batter and catcher know what the call is going to be, but he takes his sweet time to let us know.
There are approximately 30 to 40,000 other people in the ballpark. Ray Fuentes. It's a style thing, I guess. Ray, the center fielder tonight.
A nice crowd here tonight. I'm a little surprised for a Tuesday night. Interleague play early in the summer. You never know. I'm not sure what the school systems are here. Are they in school, out of school? They're in school. Yeah, they're still in school here.
It's a school night. Well, they're all here to see the battle in D-backs.
Can you blame them?
No. Oh, that's a called strike 3.
That's all you get.
Until they change the rules. But another big inning for the D-backs. Goldie, the DH, starts it off. A 2-run shot, his 15th. Brandon Drury homers for the 3rd game in a row. His 8th. 6-0 Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks lead the Tigers 6-0. D-backs fans, if you can't watch the games on your television, don't worry. Just stream them live on your mobile device. Use Fox Sports Go. It's presented by your Valley Honda dealers. Download the app and take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go. Zach Greinke with a 6-0 lead as Nicholas Castellanos leads off the Detroit third. Greinke is yet to give up a hit. He's walked one. He's got 2 strikeouts. Castellanos, 229, 8 home runs. He's homered in 3 of his last 4 games. Starting to heat up a bit after a slow start. Castellanos, despite that 229 average, comes into tonight with a 10-game hitting streak. 4 doubles and 4 homers over his streak. Both he and Justin Upton riding 10-game hit streaks. Out of play, and it's 1-2. Things a lot more comfortable now for Zach Greinke, up 6-0. Seven and 1 in his last 9 starts. Zach has won his last 2 outings at Miami and home against San Diego. Check swing foul. Torey Lovullo told us today, as Todd mentioned earlier in the broadcast, that Taijuan Walker will make his comeback from the blister issue and start here tomorrow. Off day on Thursday, we go to Philly. And the pitchers for the weekend series in Philadelphia, Patrick Corbin, Zach Godley, and Robbie Ray. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Randall Delgado goes back to the bullpen. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think it's time. We talked to Torey about it down in his office before the ball game, and you could have slow played Walker, maybe for another 3 or 4 or 5 days, maybe another week to make sure that blister's completely healed. But Torey said the medical staff is perfectly content that the blister is to a point now where it shouldn't be an issue for Taijuan Walker. No kind of a pitch limit or anything like that, but they will keep a close eye on it early in the ball game especially. And, Randall Delgado's done a nice job plugging that rotation spot when they needed him, and now he's available once again out of the bullpen to be that long guy if necessary. And if Taijuan should run into some problems early in the game, Randall will be locked, loaded, and ready to go.
Well, Greinke goes to 3-2 on Castellanos, but rings him up his 3rd strikeout.
It's about the time of the ball game where Zach has figured out what's going to be working well tonight. What pitch maybe does he need to stay away from a little bit? Looks like that slider is going to be his go-to pitch again tonight.
The center fielder for the Tigers is Alex Presley. They've run through a whole bunch of center fielders this year. They're strike one. Just 10 games with Detroit this year. He spent most of the season in the minor leagues, 40 games at AAA Toledo. Didn't hit a whole lot there. Just called up near the end of May.
There's Chet Lemon when you need him.
It's a good old Tiger name from the past. This is bounced to first. Descalso on the short hop has it. 2 down. Speaking of that, it was good to see Kirk Gibson here today.
Yeah, I had a chance to catch up with Gibby out in the hallway behind the press box here. He looks great. Says he feels good.
He does look good. He said he's still running the stairs 2 laps around the ballpark every day. Like, now, he says he gets up every morning and they walk 6-7 miles. He looks in great shape. Doing Tigers TV just to our right. A lot of great names here in this city. Willie Horton, Lance Parrish, Kirk Gibson. You got a long list from which to choose.
Trammell and Whitaker.
Oh, yeah. We should both be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Jose Iglesias.
Just for putting up with each other for 19 seasons, if for no other reason. 19 seasons as a double play combination here in Detroit.
Of course, it started with Ty Cobb, went to Hank Greenberg. They got some Really, really nice statues out there in left center field. The great Al Kaline. Iglesias 262. He's homered twice. That's a long time to work alongside the, one guy. 1-2.
It's funny because, more recently with the Diamondbacks, we've been talking about the double play combination and guys getting used to each other.
Can you imagine?
Oh, those guys could turn double plays in their sleep.
Big, slow Ephus curveball. 2-2. Iglesias gets very aggressive in 2 strike counts. Kinsler, the leadoff man, on deck. He will chase out of the strike zone with 2 strikes.
Here comes a slider out of the zone.
Well, he's able to lay off. It's a full count, 3-2. Got the fastball and knocked it into center. First hit for the Tigers.
The guy hitting in the 9 spot in the order is more likely to get a 3-2 fastball than somebody hitting at the top or in the middle of this Tigers order. And Iglesias takes advantage of that elevated fastball and bangs it right back up the middle of the field for the first Tiger hit.
Snaps a stretch of 6 straight retired by Greinke. So a 2-out base runner for Ian Kinsler, who grounded out to lead off the ball game for the Tigers. 40 pitches for Zach, only 23 strikes. He's walked 1. He's gone to a full count 4 times through the first 9 hitters. Kinsler's a tough guy to pitch to. He can handle a low fastball. Breaking ball out over the plate, 1-1. Kinsler out of Oro Valley in Arizona, still trying to dig his way out after a very slow start to the year. Hit barely 200 in April. Waves at that breaking ball, and it's 1-2. Greinke having to work in this 3rd inning. He had a very quick 8-pitch second. But the bottom of the Tiger order put up a fight. A couple of 3-2 counts before Iglesias singled. Now 1-2 on Kinsler. Reaches down and lifts it up in the air for Descalso at first. And that's the end of the inning. We head to the 4th at Comerica Park in Detroit at 6-0 Diamondbacks. There's something to smile about. Here is the newest Diamondback, Pavin Smith, the left-hand hitting first baseman from the University of Virginia, who the Diamondbacks made the 7th overall pick in yesterday's MLB draft, which has continued into today. The Diamondbacks, through their first several picks, Bob, got, it seemed, all very similar hitters, all advanced collegiate hitters, all guys who had excellent command of the strike zone, guys who didn't strike out or don't strike out a whole lot. In fact, Pavin Smith this year at UVA had more home runs than strikeouts.
Wow. That's kind of the trend in the game moving forward, guys, that, as you said, can command that strike zone, don't chase bad pitches, high on base percentage guys, more contact type of hitter.
Jeff Mathis gets one in the air. Presley over there in center field has it. That's the first out here in the fourth. Yeah, Pavin Smith out of UVA was their first round pick, the 7th overall pick, and the second round the Diamondbacks picked 44th overall, and they got a very accomplished collegiate hitter in third baseman from Louisville, a team that's in the College World Series this year. Drew Ellis, who a lot like Pavin Smith is a guy who has very, very good strike zone organization, walks a lot, does not strike out. And then they had a competitive balance pick with their third pick. Here's Gregor Blanco. And they got Gary Varsho's son. Remember Gary Varsho, the former Cub in Philly. His son, whom he named after a former Phillies catcher, Darren Daulton. Dalton Varsho, a catcher at Wisconsin Milwaukee. So if you read the scouting report, the Diamondbacks, and a lot of folks said Pavin Smith might be the best hitter in the draft, period. They seem to have done very well on the first day.
Absolutely. And Dalton Varsho, as you mentioned, one thing we do know about him, even though we haven't seen him, he has a very low center of gravity. 5'9", 200.
They think he can catch. That's their plan right now. But all those guys can be moved to different positions. Ellis might be primarily a third baseman, but there's a chance Pavin Smith, they say, could play the outfield, because obviously the D-backs are pretty well set right now at first and third. And they made a whole bunch more picks today, the Diamondbacks, on day 2 of the draft. I was very pleased to see they drafted Don Money's grandson.
Yeah.
My favorite player of all time.
I knew
Don
that
Money
would make you happy.
I saw that. I'm like, well, that's a good omen. Today they picked Matt Tabor, a prep pitcher out of Milton, Massachusetts, in the 3rd round. 2-2 on Blanco is inside. Full count, 3-2. Then in the 4th round, Harrison Francis, a right-hand pitcher from the high school in Florida. And then Don Money's grandson, Buddy Kennedy, in the 5th round out of Millville, New Jersey, which is the same high school team that Mike Trout played on. Justin Upton's got that one. 2 outs in the 4th. And I know Mike Hazen and Derek Ladnier and everybody in that front office had really worked hard on the draft, and boy, they're just getting rave reviews.
Yeah, first 10 rounds, the Diamondbacks took 3 right-handed pitchers. They took 3 shortstops, a couple of catchers, 2 third basemen actually, and a first baseman. And as you said, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where they're going to play professionally, and they may change positions multiple times by the time they make it to the major leagues.
David Peralta, first pitch swinging, bounces it up the middle. Kinsler has it at second base, and Bell works a 1-2-3 4th inning. We're in Detroit, where the D-backs lead the Tigers 6-0. lead in Detroit as we get set for the bottom of the fourth inning. Hey, fans, coming up in just a couple of days, June 15th, it's the U.S. Open at Erin Hills outside Milwaukee. Dustin Johnson will defend his title, the 117th U.S. Open. It starts on June 15th, 2 days from now on Fox FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. D-backs fans, I bumped into a lot of D-backs fans on the concourse. It's kind of a funny thing. You didn't expect that in Detroit of all places. Kind of random, but had a whole bunch of folks come up and say hi today. Alex Avila, the catcher, leads off the fourth. Zach Greinke so far has given up only one hit. He's walked one, got 3 strikeouts, holding a 6-0 lead. Avila walked his first time up, was thrown out attempting to steal. Of course, he's in a unique situation here. His dad is the GM running the front office, Al Avila.
Well, he prefers to be called Avila.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
It is confusing.
Al Avila and his son Alex Avila.
Yeah,
sure. Shift is on for the Diamondbacks. That's strike 2. Always like to see fans score the game. He's got his own little system there.
Mm-hmm. That's the great thing about keeping score. You can modify it, to suit your own needs. Some people like to highlight certain things more than others. We've talked about the multicolored pens I like to use up here. And people use different colors for different things. Look down at your scorecard very quickly, count up the strikeouts or the walks or the RBI, whatever it is that you're interested in.
Into the shift, that's Chris Owings out there, the shortstop from the outfield grass. A 6-3 putout opens up the bottom of the fourth. Well, it used to be, we talk about this because the Tigers here, as several teams in the Midwest do, this has become kind of a Midwest thing, it seems. Give you the old cardboard scorecard before every game with the day's lineup on it. And they used to get that and one of those little golf pencils and score the game back in the day.
And that card usually has all the pitching staffs for every team in the major leagues with a corresponding number for that pitcher that night.
That was the old system.
Yeah.
Miguel Cabrera struck out to win the first. That's how they'll line up against Cabrera defensively. You can see Blanco in left field off the line just a bit. There's a lot of room down that left field line for Cabrera, but he does not pull the ball nearly as much as you think he might. Boy, he is really in a funk, Miguel Cabrera. You think about all the money they owe him, it's kind of scary. They will pay him $30 million each of the next 3 seasons after this one. And then they owe him $32 million a year for 22 and 23. Peralta comes in and takes that 2 down.
Well, after all that talk about salary, we're going to talk to you about a discount. The Diamondbacks are offering a limited time discount on D-backs suites for upcoming games in July. If you act now, you can get 25% off a suite for select games in July. All suites include complimentary food and drinks. The suite discount is only available now through Friday. See more information now at dbacks.com/sweet deal. That is a sweet deal.
That is a sweet deal. Victor Martinez, the DH. Another one of these aging Tiger hitters. He's 38 years old. Martinez flying out to center his first time up. Zach Greinke so far 11 of 13 first pitch strikes. Saw how Torlavello changes up the shift depending on personnel. Now they got Owings behind the second base bag and Brandon Drury out there in short right field. It was CO out there in the outfield before. 0-2. Well, this is a vanishing breed, Victor Martinez. You don't see too many of these guys left, the guy who can only DH. Teams like to have more flexibility now with that position, don't they, than they used to?
Well, it would seem to make a lot of sense. I mean, the Tigers, as you said, an aging, heavy-legged, highly paid roster, and Victor Martinez fits in perfectly at that DH spot, but that's the only spot.
Blanco gets to that one in left field and makes a nice sliding grab. And Greinke works a 1-2-3-4. He's got a 6-0 lead.
I know Bob Brenly mentioned this just moments ago, and we had the video on Diamondbacks Live, the pregame show. No, this is not the Bill Veeck Chicago White Sox from the 70s. This was, I had to do a double take. This was a Torey Lovullo late minute change because of the heat and humidity here. Decided to let the guys go out and hit and take BP and shag in shorts.
Your thoughts, BB?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, obviously it's not the traditional look you're used to seeing from a team to come out and take batting practice, but you know, everything the Diamondbacks do is based on the information that they've received, and it was a hot, muggy, humid day here. A lot of guys came out for early work, so you don't want to exhaust your team before the game even starts, so I'm all in on it.
I am reminded of a game that we took part in Fenway Park. I don't know if it was last year. I don't even remember when we were there. I thought that game was over before Zach Greinke ever went out on the mound.
Yeah, we were there last year. He didn't survive the second inning.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, just as a casual observer.
Yeah.
Baseball players work in the summer and probably don't get out to the pool that often. Some very bright legs. And I'm not throwing stones. I could stop traffic.
This from the hockey guy.
I know. I could stop traffic with the glare off my legs. But if this trend continues, you're going to see guys making proper adjustments.
Well, most of the hotels we stay at have a pool. You know, you get up in the morning, you go down, get a little bit of sun, just a little bit of sun.
You don't want a whole team of George Hamiltons down there, do you? I did not expect it to be this humid here. This caught me by surprise. I guess it's 100 in Chicago. Like with the humidity. Goldie 3 for 3. 2 singles and a home run. The DH leads off the fifth with a base hit.
Somebody must have told Goldie his numbers as a DH before the game today.
1 for 11, I believe, right?
He had to fix that quickly.
And he is. Jake Lamb 2 for 2, a single, a double. He scored twice. That's the first hit the Diamondbacks have had against Big Chad Bell, who'd retired all 5 he's faced. Diamondbacks chased Tiger starter Buck Farmer for the ball game after only 2 1/3. 6 runs all earned on 9 hits. Got 2 in the first on RBI singles by Owings and Drury. Then 4 in the third. 2-run home runs by Goldie and Brandon Drury. Drury's third straight game with a home run.
And sandwiched between those 2 innings was a 3 up, 3 down, strike 'em out inning for Buck Farmer.
Go figure. He struck out the side. I think we should take BP in shorts. After all, we're from Arizona. It's hot there. It's our thing. Maybe Todd can do some of your reports wearing shorts.
You don't want that.
Sandals with black socks. How about that? No?
Reports in shorts. That sounds like
something. Nice.
No.
Call marketing right there. No. That's executive type thinking. Let's go downstairs to Todd for another reports in shorts. Sandals and socks. There you go. See, that's a no-no right there. At least they're white socks and not the black ones.
Bob, Torrey did say it's all part of a strategy. I mean, that's the word you hear.
I think it kind of loosens you up a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
Ron Gardenhire was doing cartwheels. He was so happy. Couldn't believe it. They got the late call.
Because he could wear shorts. Yes. Made it easier.
Yes.
There's Gardy. He's been here a million times.
Oh, yeah.
Longtime skipper of the Minnesota Twins in this division. Well, he's wearing his sunglasses on top of his cap. That's a no-no. Double play ball here. Kinsler shovel pass. Iglesias. And they turn it.
The Diamondbacks have a trip coming up later this summer when they'll go back to Minnesota. That'll have to be a big weekend for Garden. That's in the middle of August. The 18th, 19th, and 20th. The Diamondbacks will play at Target Field in Minneapolis.
Of course, Gardy mostly managed at the Metrodome. He was the third base coach on some of those World Series teams, 87 and 91, and then when he worked under Tom Kelly, then was the manager in Minnesota for a long time. That's a beautiful field, Target Field.
It really is a nice facility when it's not covered with snow.
Well, there is that. We were there a couple of years ago. It is just gorgeous. Chris Owings has an RBI single. Out to center field. Presley's out there for the Tigers. And that's the end of the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the fifth. It's 6-0 Diamondbacks.
At this point, as we head to the bottom half of the fifth inning, time to take a look back at this day in Major League Baseball history, brought to you by Geico. We go back to the 1973 season. The Dodger infield of Garvey, Lope, Say, and Russell played together for the first time. They went on to play 8.5 years as a quartet for the Dodgers.
That's a solid Geico legacy moment. And that infield is still a legacy in the history of that organization. J.D. Martinez. Every year, same 4 guys out there.
Yeah, we were talking about Whitaker and Trammell here in Detroit playing 19 seasons together. They played with a plethora of third basemen and first basemen that came and went, but those 2 guys were the constant up the middle for 19 years. Dodgers had 4 guys that were constant for the better part of 9 seasons.
J.D. Martinez, big swing and bunt. Greinke's on it. And he's now set down 5 in a row. Hard to find a better nickname than the Penguin.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful. And the thing about the Dodgers was, and you have to kind of bend reality just a little bit, but it was like the next wave came up behind them. Steve Sachs at second base, Mike Marshall at first base, Dave Anderson at shortstop, Pedro Guerrero over at third base. Mike Scioscia came up with that group. Candy Maldonado came up with that group. It seemed like the Dodgers just had waves of players that would come up at the same time and man their positions for years.
And Mike Marshall at first base. They have the Rookie of the Year every year for 4 or 5 years in a row, it seems. 60 pitches now for Zach Greinke. 38 strikes. Justin Upton 0 for 1. Justin Upton saw his batting average dip below 230 near the end of May. He was really struggling there for a while, but he's picked it up big time. He's hitting better than 350 over his last 17 games. 10-game hitting streak coming into tonight. Castellanos, who's on deck, also has a 10-gamer. These are the 2 hot bats in the lineup right now for the Tigers. A bouncer to shortstop for Owings. 6 in a row set down by Zach. 2 outs.
Hey fans, tonight we are participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run and strikeout in this game raises money for prostate cancer research. Since June 1st, nearly $2.6 million has been raised in the challenge. You can make a pledge by going to homerunchallenge.org.
Nicholas Castellanos. Tigers have had only 2 base runners so far against Greinke. Avila walked with 1 out in the first. Iglesias a 2-out single in the third. That's been it. Castellanos coming off a miserable May. He hit 175 with 1 home run last month, and they really count on him for some offense, so he's dropped down in the batting order. That's a foul ball. But he's really turned that around here in June. Although the defense is going backwards. They thought maybe last year he showed some signs of improvement defensively, but he's taken some steps backward this year. He leads the major leagues in errors by a third baseman. He wasn't hitting in May, and Brad Ausmus sat him down for a couple of games, just sort of gave him a timeout, and that seems to have worked. Trying to take some of the pressure off. Just by Greinke. Drury backhands it behind the bag at second, but he's got no play. And it's an infield single for Castellanos. He's now hit in 11 straight.
You mentioned Justin Upton and Nicholas Castellanos, the 2 hottest hitters in this Tigers lineup, but they're in the 6th and 7th hole in the lineup. When you've got a veteran, an established superstar offensive veteran like Miguel Cabrera in that 3 spot, that's going to be a tough move to make someday. And it's probably going to have to be made at some point in the future if Cabrera continues to swing the bat the way he has.
The very near future. Alex Presley. The other thing about that is, and they've got Martinez, who's not doing so hot either, batting cleanup. They're very right-hand heavy, this Tiger lineup. All their key bats are right-hand hitters. So Martinez, who switch hits, is up there, but he's just trying to break up all these righties. It's a little tapper that gets just by Greinke. Drury will pick it up. Got to be quick to get Presley, and they do. Nicely done by Brandon Drury. Zach Greinke threw 5. He's given up only 2 hits. He leads at 6-zip. They lead at 6-0 in the 6th inning. Time now for the Unlimited Baseball break. It's presented by T-Mobile. A look around the rest of the major leagues. Dodgers had to put Adrian Gonzalez on the DL again. Jock Peterson was activated, however. How about this? Joe Madden is a mad scientist. He's batting Anthony Rizzo leadoff, trying to get that offense going. And how about Aaron Judge? He is unbelievable. Leading vote getter for the American League All-Star team. Leads Jose Altuve, Mike Trout. I was looking at Judge's numbers. He gets on base at a crazy, it's like a .450 on base percentage with all those home runs.
270,000 vote lead over Jose Altuve. That's about the distance of his home runs this year.
You're right. Wow. Hit one .490 over the weekend at Yankee Stadium. Brandon Drury, boy, his bat is really coming around. He's got a single and a home run so far. He's knocked in 3. Brandon Drury now home runs in 3 consecutive games and 4 of his last 6. Miguel Cabrera is ice cold right now. There's a longtime Detroit Tiger, Fernando Rodney, back in town. This was Brandon Drury after Goldie had hit a 2-run homer in the 3rd. Lamb doubled, and then Drury goes yard. Number 8 on the year for Brandon. Well, he gets like this from time to time, Brandon Drury. He'll get on streaks. It'll last a week and a half or so, 2 weeks. You cannot get him out.
I mean, even that foul ball down the right field line. Pitch up and away from him. That had home run distance, unfortunately sliced into foul territory down the right field line. When you're driving the ball from foul line to foul line, you've pretty much closed up every hole in your swing, at least for the time being. It has a tendency to come and go, but right now he's covering that plate extremely well.
Takes a fastball up and in. It's 2-2. Brandon's hit safely now in 4 straight games, 6 of his last 7. Chad Bell back out there in relief of Buck Farmer, who lasted only 2 1/3. Full count, 3-2. Descalso on deck. Mentioned that Bell has been starting at AAA Toledo. He was just called up for the minor leagues over the weekend, so he should be able to give Brad Ausmus plenty of innings. Rasmus won't have to burn through his bullpen here as they open up a homestand. Drury drives one deep right center field. That one's going to get down, and it's off the wall. Brandon Drury, red hot right now. He pulls into second. That's his 16th double. He's a triple shy of the cycle. He hit that deep to right center.
Oh, he sure did. I mean, that takes a poke to get that ball out to the warning track in right center field. Fastball on the outer third, belt high. Once again, just stay on it. Get the barrel on the ball somehow and let it go wherever it goes. This time perfectly splits that gap in right center field for a double.
Good way to start this D-backs sixth, their 11th hit. Tigers have only 2 base hits against Zach Greinke. Descalso 0 for 2, the first baseman tonight, with Goldie as the DH. Two-0. Daniel really seeing a lot of pitches every at bat. He almost never chases out of the strike zone. That's in there for a strike. It's 2-1. Ray Fuentes on deck. He's in center field tonight. How about this? Diamondbacks 1 through 6 hitters tonight. 11 for 18.
That's a pretty good start.
Not bad, huh? Chris Owings had an RBI single in that 2-run first.
It's enough to make a hitting coach smile.
Scalzo hits a little bloop right center. Presley's over there to run it down, and Drury stays put at second.
Hey fans, bring the whole family to the ballpark this summer with the D-backs value pack. Get a game ticket, a Subway sandwich or hot dog, and a Pepsi for just $25. For tickets, visit dbacks.com/value.
Well, the other side of that coin is the last 3 hitters for the D-backs are now a combined 0 for 7. Fuentes has struck out twice. Tell you what, thinking about Brandon Drury, if you need a triple for the cycle, this might be the ballpark in which to get it. Something to think about for his next at bat. He singled in the first, homered in the third. Now he's doubled here in the 6th. A ground ball, tricky play for Cabrera, and Fuentes with that speed beats it out. Drury in at third. Very slowly hit ball off the bag at first.
Perfectly placed if you're Ray Fuentes. Just kind of rolled over, smothered that ground ball to the right side. Cabrera got to it in good shape, but Chad Bell a little slow getting off the mound and getting over there. That turned into a foot race, and we know who's going to win that.
Fuentes can really get up that line. So it's first and third, 1 out for the catcher, Jeff Mathis, who's 0 for 2. Jeff 1 for his last 24 up there. 150 on the year. Chad Bell, the left-hander, his third full inning in relief after Buck Farmer was knocked out of the game in the third. He got the last 2 outs of that inning. He struck out Descalso and Fuentes, and since then he's worked the 4th, 5th, now the 6th for Brad Ausmus. Gene Lamont there in the background, the bench coach. Brandon Drury at third, Ray Fuentes at first. Diamondbacks 6 runs on 12 hits. No runs on 2 hits for the Tigers. Three and 0. Leadoff man Gregor Blanco on deck. Ball 4, the bases are loaded.
We love these rallies that start at the bottom of the order. You had just mentioned a moment ago that the bottom 3 hitters in the D-backs order hadn't done much today, but in this inning, Drury with the leadoff double, Descalso flied out to center, and then an infield hit for Fuentes. Now Jeff Mathis with a walk, setting it up for the top of the order.
Gregor Blanco singled in the first. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Foul on the check swing, and it's 0-1. As Blanco now really contributing with consistent playing time. It's really helped fill the void left by A.J. Pollock. Blanco, last 17 games, he's hitting well over 300. He's got an on-base percentage during that span that's almost .450. Bases full, 1 out.
And defensively, a lot of days Gregor Blanco finds himself flanked by 2 guys playing out of position. Chris Owings in right field and Daniel Descalso in left. Still covers a lot of ground out there, really helps those corner guys.
Torey Lovullo was observing that, as the season has gone on, the young core of this ball club really starting to take more and more notice of just how much some of these veteran role players the Diamondbacks added in the offseason are contributing and what kind of examples they're setting. We're starting to see it every day now with guys like Descalso and Blanco. They're able to slow down moments and perform. Two balls and 1 strike. Here it is. That's fouled back, 2-2. Big Chad Bell out of Knoxville, Tennessee, 6'3", 200. Blanco reaches out, just gets a piece of that fastball. It stays 2-2. Talk about Blanco. He just completed a 6-game homestand. Blanco scored 10 runs during the homestand. 5 hits. He walked 7 times. Up there now with the bases loaded and 1 out. Another really good at bat. Full count, 3-2. Peralta would be next. He singled and scored in the third. Three and two to Blanco.
See a situation like this with the bases loaded, only one out in the inning. When Don Zimmer was managing the Chicago Cubs, he used to start the runners in this count when Mark Grace was at the plate, because he knew Gracie was either going to take ball 4. If it was in the strike zone, he was going to put it in play. So Zim used to start the runners, bases loaded, full count, 1 out, with Gracie at the plate.
Living on the edge, man.
Zim was known to do that.
25th pitch of the inning right here. He hits a tailor-made double play ball to Kinsler. Iglesias turns it, and Chad Bell gets out of the inning. It stays 6-0 Diamondbacks.
I'm 6 here at Comerica. I'm Todd Walsh, and I hate to intrude, Steve and Bob. One last story, though, for you. Torey Lovullo, as I'm sure you mentioned, drafted by the Tigers back in the day out of UCLA, one of Sparky Anderson's guys in the late 80s. And a member of the Detroit media asked him about Sparky today. As you see, there's number 11 on the wall here. We were here the day they inducted Sparky into that fraternity here. But he said there's a couple of things that stay with me even to this day that he has learned from Sparky Anderson. It's not necessarily about baseball, but it's about the art of communication and communicating to his players. He said, first of all, I call everybody by their first name, not their nickname, their first name. And he also learned the art of talking to his players about things other than, what was it called, strike? Baseball. Talk to them about their family, about their lives away from the game, opening the door then for even more deeper conversations and an understanding of the guys that you want to go perform for you.
And Gibby was the same way.
Yep.
I mean, everything that he would refer to about managing, he said he learned from Sparky.
Absolutely.
Jose Iglesias leads it off.
It's kind of a lost art, too. And he said that with such great reverence. Said he didn't want to talk too much about some of the things that he's learned, but I hope to track down Torey tomorrow to talk more about that, and we'll hope to bring that to you on the pregame show, D-Backs Live.
Oh, wanted a breaking ball in, didn't get the call, and it's full 3-2. Yeah, Torey was a 5th round pick by the Tigers out of UCLA in the '87 draft. Played here in Detroit for the Tigers, '88, '89. On the ground to second, Brandon Drury gets over there and throws him out. Zach Greinke really being economical. Had to work a lot in that 3rd inning. A couple of 3-2 counts in there, gave up a 2-out single to Iglesias, but he had an 8-pitch second, a 12-pitch fourth, an 11-pitch fifth, and that's the first out here in the sixth.
Only 2 base hits in the ballgame by the Tigers offensively. One of those was an infield hit.
Ian Kinsler 0 for 2. Hard to third, but foul. Right in front of Dave Clark.
I haven't said that very often when Zach Greinke's been on the mound tonight. Hard to third. There just hasn't been a lot of solid contact. This is what we've come to expect when Zach Greinke takes the mound. The opposition is going to put the ball in play, but ideally put it in play weakly at one of his defenders.
It's a guy who came in with 100 strikeouts on the year, Zach Greinke, but he's only punched out 3 tonight. A lot of weak contact. He's walked 1, he's punched out 3. Just 2 hits, both singles, as Bob mentioned. D-backs have out hit the Tigers 12-2. This one's going to get down in right center field. 1-out single for Kinsler. Alex Avila, the hitter, he's walked and grounded out. D-backs will shade everyone over now. 3 infielders on the right-hand side. You see Owens, the shortstop, right behind the second base umpire, Mike Estabrook. Check swing, and it's 1-0. Avila has done a lot of damage in his home park this year. How about this? 429 at Comerica. Only a $192 on the road. Having a very good season, Alex Avila. .322 batting average. He's already hit more home runs this year than he hit all of last season when he was with the White Sox. That's out of play. Avila, a Tigers draftee. Played his first 7 big league seasons in Detroit. Went to 1 All-Star game. He was their catcher during 3 consecutive trips to the ALCS, including 2012 when they played the Giants here in the World Series. And then he left the Tigers for free agency. 1 disappointing season in Chicago. Now he's back in Detroit. Greinke at 80 pitches, 52 strikes. Two and two. Of course, those 3 straight trips to the American League Championship Series. That was the big mission here in Detroit when Dave Dombrowski was running the front office. Get a World Series championship for their beloved owner, Mike Ilitch. And you see the patch right there on the shoulder for Mr. I, who passed away not too long ago. They never did quite win that World Series for him. It was always a big push. He kept writing the checks. They kept bringing in more and more big free agents and giving guys long extensions. And now they're saddled with a lot of really bad contracts for some old players.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea at the time until you go through a stretch like that where you get close but no cigar and you still have the same guys and the salaries are going up on a yearly basis. And it really makes it tough to move some of these guys, given the money they're making. Yeah, Cubs kind of found themselves in that a few different times in their history where they just continued to add free agents, trying to get over the hump, and just couldn't quite get there until last year. Of course, it was a completely different approach, the Cubs team that won the World Series. Build from within, supplement with a free agent here or there where you see the need, but make sure you have a steady stream of talent coming up through your minor league system, and the Cubs have done that. Tigers are far away from that.
They're about as far away as you can get. Sixth full count in the ball game for Greinke and Mathis. I mean, they gave Miguel Cabrera 8 years, $248 million. Upton's got 6 years, $132 million. They're paying Verlander a bunch. They brought in Jordan Zimmerman for a ton of money. He'll pitch here tomorrow night. Kinsler's making money. The only guy they could really trade is probably their best hitter in J.D. Martinez. Will be a free agent after this year. 3-2 to Alex Avila. One out, Kinsler at first. He holds there. Double play ball potentially here. Owings spins and throws it away. It gets by Lamb covering and rolls way into foul ground. There's nobody over there with the shift on, and Kinsler is home. Lamb had to cover the bag at second. When the throw got behind him, there was nothing behind him.
Now, we've seen this shift evolve over the last few seasons. Teams practice it a little more often, but occasionally you're going to get caught like this with your pants down. Just nobody there to back up the play. By the time Gregor Blanco gets there from his left field position, Kinsler's come all the way around and scored.
And if the shift isn't on, that is a piece of cake double play ball.
Easy double play.
Fielder's choice, no RBI. The error on Owings on the throw, E6, allows Kinsler to come on home with a first Tiger run. And here's Miguel Cabrera. Well, that is the thing about all these shifts and overshifts. You're asking guys to catch balls in awkward positions. You're asking them to make throws from spots that they would never throw the ball from. And every once in a while, something goes south like that. Cabrera 0 for 2 so far. He has struck out, flied out.
And it wasn't that Gregor Blanco wasn't paying attention and backing up the play. He just had so far to go from where he was positioned for Alex Avila that by the time he got to the ball, Kinsler was able to come around and score.
Greinke behind, 2-0. Mentioned earlier, Cabrera's slow bat speed right now. Really's had trouble lately getting the fastballs away. A lot of swings and misses on those pitches, a lot of weak contact. Got it in on 2-1. Fuentes on the run. Peralta can't get it. It's off the glove. Avila had to hold up. Dave Clark waves him home, and it's 6-2. A tweener in right center.
Yeah, it definitely was a tweener off the bat, but because Cabrera's a right-handed hitter, that ball is slicing back toward right field. So David Peralta had the best chance to make a play, a slight adjustment right at the very end to try to make that diving attempt. Just couldn't quite come up with it.
Double and an RBI for Cabrera. Mike Butcher to the mound. Well, even after the single by Kinsler, as we mentioned, Greinke should have been out of this inning easy with that double play ball. But the shift was on. Now a slicing liner off the bat of Cabrera. 6-2 ball game. And Victor Martinez is the hitter. Martinez 0 for 2. He is twice flied out. In there for a strike, 0-1. Down and away. Victor Martinez not thrilled with Jerry Lane's call. 1-2 now. Greinke 90 pitches, 57 strikes. Martinez, a switch hitter, nearly all his home runs coming from the left-hand side.
Now, you mentioned earlier in the ballgame, Martinez a little bit of a rarity in that he's basically a DH. He came up initially as a catcher. He's played a lot of first base throughout the course of his career, but he's been the DH for the Tigers 55 times this year. J.D. Martinez has filled that role twice, and Miguel Cabrera 3 times.
And Martinez now at 38 years old, really can't play anywhere else. Two and two. Been a very good hitter, Victor Martinez, a 5-time All-Star, 15 years in the big leagues. A career batting average of exactly 300. Played in Cleveland, played in Boston, now with Detroit. How about that? More than 1,100 RBIs. Just over 230 career homers.
And without looking it up, if I recall, he's one of those switch hitters that's almost equal from one side of the plate to the other. There really isn't a big advantage one side or the other.
And they have very right-hand heavy lineup. Upton, Cabrera, Castellanos, Kinsler, J.D. Martinez, all righties. So Victor Martinez's switch hitting bat from the left side is important for Brad Ausmus. Still only 1 out in the inning. 2 Tiger runs home. Got him. 4th strikeout for Greinke, his first since the 3rd inning. 2 down. Here's J.D. Martinez. He has struck out, grounded out, 0 for 2. Or there was a chance that Zach Greinke could go back out there for the 7th inning the way he was cruising. But he's run into a couple of bumps in the road here in the 6th, now with 95 pitches. And that one is way out of here. J.D. Martinez, his 11th, and it's 6-4. Tigers are going to get a lot of calls at the trade deadline about J.D. Martinez, and you just saw why.
That breaking ball had just stayed right in the middle of the plate. You could see Zach Greinke's reaction out there on the mound. He knew he made a mistake, and when you make mistakes to good hitters who are red hot like Martinez is right now, that's usually the end result.
Now he'll deal with Justin Upton. Tigers with all this firepower, they're never out of it, even down 6-0. It's quickly turned into a 4-run Detroit sixth. Upton 0 for 2.
When you think back to the inability to turn that double play or at least get the lead runner on that attempted double play, and then David Peralta misjudging that ball in right center field enough to allow it to drop. He could have very easily been out of this inning unscathed.
Easily. Now he's flirting with 100 pitches here, still trying to get out of this sixth. Upton's got a 10-game hitting streak on the line, 0 for 2 so far. He's got 4 homers during his 10-game hit streak. J.J. Hoover, the right-hander, warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. Upton just hit a grand slam in Boston on Sunday. 31 pitches in this inning for Zach. He's really had to work. Well, he was cruising. 8 pitch second, 12 in the fourth, 11 in the fifth, and now the sixth.
That is the third time through the Tigers lineup, and the numbers would tell you that any pitcher pitching against any lineup that third time through, it gets a little dicey.
Fastball missed at the knees, and we'll keep going. Castellanos the hitter. Second walk for Greinke, his first since the first inning. Torey Lovullo on his way to the mound. Well, Zach Greinke had been absolutely rolling. He'd worked 5 scoreless innings, giving up only 2 hits, both singles. But the Tigers have put a 4 spot up on the board in the 6th. Back after this. Pitches to get 2 outs in that 6th inning. The Tigers got 4 runs, and the inning is still going. Answering the Ash line call to the bullpen, it's the right-hander J.J. Hoover's 28th appearance of the year. Justin Upton is at first base after a 2-out walk, and the hitter is Nicholas Castellanos.
Hoover with 23 strikeouts over his last 15 appearances. You may remember in that final game of the Milwaukee series at home, he came in to face Brewers rookie Lewis Brinson. He walked him, gave way to Jorge De La Rosa, who perhaps recorded the biggest strikeout so far this season. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Punched out Eric Thames in a 1-0 ball game.
Castellanos has struck out and singled 1 for 2. He's now hit safely in 11 straight games. 4 doubles and 4 homers during that hitting streak. And right now he's the tying run at the plate in what was a 6-0 Diamondback lead. D-backs with 2 in the first, 4 in the third. Home runs by Goldie and Drury. They were cruising here, 6-0. Big cut of that fastball. It's 1-1. Base hit. Upton takes the turn and heads for third. He's in there.
Chris Owens cheating a little bit toward the hole between third and short. Castellanos, normally a dead pull hitter. That ball gets back up the middle of the field, and Justin Upton with 2 outs in the inning will easily make it to third base.
So now the tying runs are on base. 9th man to bat in the Detroit 6th inning is the center fielder Alex Presley, who's 0 for 2. Presley, a former Pittsburgh Pirate, just called up from the Tigers minor league system at the end of last month. Upton at third, Castellanos at first. Down the left field line and drifting out of play. Tigers 2 games under 500. They're 30-32 on the year. But because they're in the American League Central, they're only 3 games back of the division lead. Diamondbacks are 13 over 500. They're in third place. 2-1. D-backs, though, only a game and a half behind Colorado for the National League West lead. Left center, it drops in. Upton will score, and it's a 6-5 ball game. Tigers have batted around in the 6th.
Kind of soft served it out there to shallow left center field. Got down near the trademark a little bit, which took some of the sting out of that ball. Ray Fuentes couldn't quite get there.
Mike Butcher quickly to the mound. Well, you talk about things escalating quickly. This game was over in the 5th. The way Greinke was rolling along, only 2 hits allowed, both singles. He'd walked just 1 batter. Had a 6-0 lead, and suddenly it's a 6-5 ball game. So Iglesias, who led off this inning by grounding out against Zack Greinke, bats for the second time in the 6th. In there for a strike. Castellanos, the tying run at second. Presley, the go-ahead run at first. Overthrew that one a bit, almost to the backstop, and it's 1-1. Iglesias' batting average was down to 195 about 3 weeks into May. He was really scuffling, but last 16 games he's hitting .400. Missed with a fastball. It's 2-1. Greinke's book is closed. 5 runs, only 2 were earned in 5 2/3. Gave up 5 hits, walked 2, struck out 4. Here's the 2-1 to Iglesias. On the ground to second, it's by Drury. Here comes Castellanos. Here's the throw, and he can't get him. We're tied. The runners move up as it rolls away from Mathis. 6-6 here in Detroit. A 6-0 lead has gone by the boards.
We've seen the Diamondbacks do this to opponents all season long. Take advantage of a slight crack in the armor, and an error and a misplay earlier in this inning have really opened the floodgates for this Tigers offense that was kind of sleepwalking through the first 5 innings of this game.
It's turned into a 6-run 6th. Still 2 outs in the inning, and now it's 2nd and 3rd for the leadoff man, Ian Kinsler. Andrew Chafin. Kinsler singled and scored earlier in the inning. Single and an RBI there. Runners move up on the throw. Center field, Fuentes coming in. And mercifully, the 6th inning nightmare ends for the Diamondbacks, but the Tigers score 6 to tie it up. In Detroit, 6-6 ball game suddenly. D-backs fans, stop by your local Fry's and stock up on your favorite Pepsi products. Using your VIP card, you'll earn valuable D-backs rewards points that you can redeem for merchandise and game experiences. Pepsi is the official soft drink of your Arizona Diamondbacks. We are told now by some of the scorers here that none of those runs charged to Zack Greinke were earned. in that inning. Originally we were told 2, now we're being told 0. So it's 6-6 as we start the 7th. That 6-0 Diamondback lead is gone, and David Peralta leads it off against lefty Chad Bell. Peralta singled and scored in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3. Right center. Let's get the freight train going. That's going to go to the wall. David Peralta heads for second. The train is going to stop there. '13th double for Peralta. He's 2 for 4.
I think that was a good decision by David as well. He might have made it to third base right there, but leading off the inning, you have to be 100% sure you can make it to third base. You don't want to make the first out, especially in a tie ball game, the way the momentum has swung to the Tigers. Take that lead-off double, let your teammates do the rest of the work.
Yeah, Presley in center did a nice job playing that carom to get it back in quickly. And that's going to be it for Chad Bell. Tigers go to their bullpen. We take a break. Bell came in a 6-0 game. He leaves it 6-6. Tigers have come back to tie the Diamondbacks. Here is the artist formerly known as K-Rod. Now he's only Francisco Rodriguez after blowing 5 saves. On in a setup role, leads all active pitchers. He's 4th in big league history, 437 saves, but he lost that closer job here this year. He will come in to face Goldie, who's had a big day. 3 for 3, 2 singles, and in the 3rd, this 2-run homer is 15th of the year. It's our Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing Cool Play of the game. The DH today, Paul Goldschmidt, and he has hit. He's up there with Peralta, the go-ahead run at second, and nobody out. Diamondbacks got 2 in the 1st, took a 2-0 lead. They got 4 more in the 3rd. Home runs by Goldie and Drury. They were up 6-0. But suddenly some dicey defense behind Greinke, the bottom of the 6th, led to 6 Detroit runs, and they've come back to tie. But a chance to answer immediately back right here. Goldie, a .431 hitter with runners in scoring position, the best in the major leagues. One and one.
Francisco Rodriguez, if you guess right, is very easy to run on. He can be almost 2 full seconds in his delivery to home plate with that full high leg kick and pumping his arms. Occasionally, he'll use a slide step and unload quickly to home plate, but if you guess right, you could walk to third base.
That's Carr foul, and it's 1 and 2.
Of course, David Peralta's not going anywhere right now. Not with Goldie at the plate.
And the Major League RBI leader on deck, Francisco Rodriguez. Last year, 44 saves. He was second in the American League. But this year, 5 blown saves. Now he's the 7th inning guy. 1-2 to Goldie. Got him to chase. Big strikeout for Rodriguez. 1 down in the 7th.
Now Francisco Rodriguez out pitch is still that straight changeup. That one off the outside corner, fading down low and away. Goldie just could not hold up.
Jake Lamb has singled, doubled, scored twice. He's 2 for 3. Trying to get Peralta home from second after a leadoff double. A bouncer to second. Kinsler charges. They get the out on Lamb, and Peralta's at third. Two down now for Chris Owings. CO an RBI single in that 2-run first. He's 1 for 3. He's now got RBIs in 6 of his last 7 games, Chris Owings.
Well, one of the things I love so much about the game of baseball, it gives you the opportunity to redeem yourself. Chris Owings made a costly throwing error in that last half inning. Tigers sent a lot more hitters to the plate than they should have and ended up tying up the ball game. And now Chris Owings at the plate with a chance to give the D-backs a lead.
Diamondbacks have out-hit the Tigers 13-8. Fouled off, and it's 1-1. A lot of multi-hit games for some Diamondbacks in those 13 hits. Goldie has 3 hits, including a homer. Drury has 3 hits, including a home run. 2 hits for Peralta, 2 for Lamb. Owings trying to join that multi-hit club right here. One and two. Leadoff double by Peralta off the left-hand pitcher. David's been very good this year against lefties. But you'd hate to see that double go to waste in a tie ball game. In the dirt, 2-2.
Now, Francisco Rodriguez used to be a handful. When he was one of the premier closers in the game, he could throw in the mid-90s with his fastball, had that devastating straight changeup. But the fastball this year, the average velocity just a tick over 88 miles per hour. So that changeup not nearly as effective when the fastball velocity is down as much as it is this year.
Center field, Presley coming in, and he's got it. David Peralta starts the inning off with a double. He's left stranded at third in a 6-6 game. In Detroit, Steve Berthune, Bob Brentley, Todd Walsh along the way. D-backs and Tigers are all tied up at 6. In the first of a quick 2-game stop here in Detroit. Game 2 tomorrow night. It's the return of Taijuan Walker. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Jordan Zimmerman, a change there for the Tigers. Zimmerman will start the series finale tomorrow night. Good to have Taijuan Walker back on the mound after recovering from that blister on his right index finger. Randall Delgado will go back to the bullpen, Torlobello told us today. And the starters over the weekend in Philadelphia will be Corbin, Godley, and Robbie Ray Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Andrew Chafin, it's the Ashline Colt, the bullpen. He's on to start the home half of the 7th against Alex Avila. D-backs will put the shift on. Owings, the shortstop, out in short right field. Avila walked in the first. He's 0 for 2. By the way, the official score here has confirmed for us that none of those runs given up by Zach Greinke were earned. 0 earned runs for Greinke, 1 earned run for J.J. Hoover.
Get over there.
Chopper to first. Nice backhand stop there by Daniel Descalso, and Chafin hustles over there. Well played.
First base is probably the position that Daniel Descalso has played the least in the infield at the major league level, but he's been watching Paul Goldschmidt come in and smother that ball on a short hop, shovel onto the pitcher covering. Nicely done.
Well, as we used to say in Phoenix, it's Miggy time. Miguel Cabrera. By the way, if you had your Miggy's Bit, I think you're eating one now.
Yes, I did.
We were handed some of Miggy's candy before the game today by some of his people. He's now like a Willy Wonka. Who knew? It's described as a new crunchy experience by Miguel Cabrera. Miggy Foods is pleased to introduce its very first product in the U.S., a sweet and crunchy treat.
I'm holding in my hand the happy size of Miggy's Bits.
You do seem awfully happy.
Rice Krispies covered in chocolatey fun.
Yeah, there's a variety of flavors here. Creamy milk chocolate, strawberry cheesecake, white chocolate. Little candy covered bites of sort of Rice Krispies.
Covered in chocolatey fun.
Just like Miguel Cabrera. Miggy Bits. Check your local retailer. This is headed for the right field corner. Peralta makes a sliding grab and then can't hang on. It's in the corner. Cabrera's going to get second here. Great hustle and effort by David Peralta in that right field corner, but he couldn't quite hang on to make that sliding grab.
Second time in the game, David's had a ball in his glove but wasn't able to control it. It was out near the tip of the webbing as he hit the ground out there. It just popped loose, and Cabrera will end up at second base.
Second double in 2 at bats by Miguel Cabrera. He's the go-ahead run at second now. 1 out for Victor Martinez, who will switch around and bat right-handed against the lefty Chafin. Martinez 0 for 3. He's a switch hitter, 255 from the left side, over 300 as a righty. But almost all his power comes as a left-hand hitter. Cabrera at second and 1 out. Nice stop by Jeff Mathis there to get behind the hitter and keep Cabrera at second. There's a ton of foul ground in this ballpark. There's not much in the outfield corners. There's almost none, in fact. But along the infield and up the lines, there's a whole lot of room back there. Hard to second. Drury is there, plants and throws. Cabrera to third, 2 outs. Now here's the dangerous J.D. Martinez, who last time up in the 6th inning absolutely launched a home run off Zach Greinke, his 11th of the year. Torey Lovullo is not going to face or let his left-hander face Martinez. And so we'll go back to the Diamondback bullpen here. We'll take a break in the 7th at 6-6 in Detroit. Responsible for the go-ahead run at third base. 2 outs in the 7th inning. And here's a big ask for the young right-hander Silvino Bracho, brought on to face the dangerous J.D. Martinez. Trying to strand that go-ahead run at third. Martinez's last time up as part of that 6-run Tigers 6th. Absolutely launched one off Zach Greinke. His 11th home run of the year. And here he comes. Go ahead run at third and 2 down. Chance for Silvino Bracho to move up in the food chain here. A big out to get in the Tigers 7th. Think about Bracho in these types of situations, Bob. He's been a closer his entire minor league career, and he's been a lights-out closer. Now, I know that's the minors, but he's pitched in high-leverage situations his whole pro career. Fly ball, pretty deep right field. Peralta at the track. He's at the wall, and he's got it. J.D. Martinez gave it a ride the other way, but Bracho gets that out. It stays 6-6.
8th inning. Time to take a look at our timeless moment, brought to you by Coors Banquet. We go back to the 2012 season. Matt Cain threw a perfect game on this day against the Houston Astros. The thing that was kind of unique about it is the fact that Ted Barrett became the first umpire to work the plate for 2 perfect games. He was also behind the plate back in '99 for David Cohn's perfect game against the Montreal Expos.
And you know who made the, as we always say, every no-hitter, every perfect game needs a spectacular defensive play. The guy who made it was Gregor Blanco, who made a tremendous catch out there in center field to keep Matt Cain's perfecto. New pitcher for the Tigers, the right-hander Alex Wilson. They got 2 Wilsons back there. Justin is the lefty and the closer. Wilson is the righty and the setup guy. A 3.18 ERA. Brandon Drury, who is a triple shy of the cycle, 3 for 3, leads off the 8th. "13 hits for the Diamondbacks, 9 for the Tigers." Chased a high fastball and it's 0-1. Drury had an RBI single in the first, had a 2-run home run in the third, doubled his last time up in the 6th. He has homered now in 3 consecutive games and 4 of his last 6. Hard to third. That's a fair ball. It's in the corner. Upton has problems out there. Drury will stop at second. Brandon Drury 4 for 4. That's his 17th double. So the 8th inning started just like the 7th inning, a leadoff double.
Oh, pitch down and in, probably off the plate inside. That's how quick Brandon Drury can be on that pitch on the inside part of the plate. A triple shy of the cycle. He wasn't going to take any chances. If Upton had any more issues with that ball, he'd have tried to go for 3.
Well, welcome to the American League. As Archie Bradley starts warming up, every starter in this game has reached base safely, except for one guy on each team. For the Tigers, it's Victor Martinez. For the Diamondbacks, it's Daniel Descalso, who's 0 for 3.
Now, we've talked a lot about Daniel Descalso, and even though the numbers aren't where you'd like to see them as far as his batting average, his on-base percentage, we've talked about the professional at-bats that he gives you every time up there. This is one of those situations where Daniel is going to try to pull that ball to the right side of the field. Ideally, it gets through for a base hit into right field, but at worst, he wants to move Brandon Drury up to third base.
Torey Lovullo is enormously comfortable when Descalso's at the plate. The 7th inning started this way. Peralta doubled to deep right center. He got as far as third and was stranded there in a 6-6 ball game. Now Drury leads off the 8th with a double. Four for 4 tonight, Brandon Drury. 3-0.
Boy, and part of having a good professional at bat in this situation is making sure you get a pitch that you can pull to the right side of the field. And so far, Daniel hasn't seen anything to his liking and has run the count to 3-0.
Well, he's shown a real knack for pulling the ball lately, Descalso, especially against right-hand pitchers. So a shot of Ray Fuentes on deck. Here's the 3-0 to Descalso. That's in the dirt, ball 4. Those 2 have reached in the D-backs 8th. So now every Diamondback starter tonight has reached base, including Fuentes, who singled his last time up.
And you would be expecting a sac bunt in this situation. Ray Fuentes is one of the better bunters on this Diamondbacks roster. And then you have Jeff Mathis, the catcher, due up after Fuentes. Wouldn't surprise me a bit to see a pinch hitter in that spot.
Brad Ausmus, the skipper, to the mound. Tony Perez-Chica huddled up with Ray Fuentes over there by the Tiger on deck circle. And message has been received. Jerry Lane out to break this up.
The message is usually pretty simple. If indeed Fuentes is going to be bunting in this situation, bunt it to the third base side of the field, make Castellanos come in and make the play from third base, unless you see the wheel play where the third baseman charges and the shortstop breaks to cover third base. In that case, most of the time you want your hitter to go ahead and swing away since there are so many holes in the infield.
Castellanos is not a good defensive third baseman. Squares to bunt, pulls back, and takes ball one. In fact, no major league third baseman has more errors this year than Nicholas Castellanos. Another long look down to Tony Perez-Chica at third. There's the defense. Iglesias and Kinsler up the middle, both near that second base bag. Now Kinsler backs off. Fuentes squares, pops it up over the screen. 1-1. Ron Gardenhire behind Torey Lovullo. Mathis on deck. Castellanos only one step in at third on the grass. You can't get too far away from that bag. Wheel play. Yes, he went, says Marvin Hudson at third.
Yeah, it was kind of a delayed wheel play. The shortstop Iglesias didn't immediately break for third base. He just kind of edged his way over there, but as the ball was being delivered, Castellanos came charging in from third base, and Iglesias continued on to third.
Ray was just trying to duck and cover that time, and it's strike two. It's up to the 8 and 9 hitters to move these runners along. First and second, nobody out. 1 and 2 on Ray Fuentes with Mathis on deck. Well, Ray's bat has had some signs of life lately. He's 1 for 3 tonight. He's hit safely now in 5 of his last 6 games. Curry at second, Descalso at first. Just got a piece of that one. Alex Wilson, the right-hander, top 10 in the American League, both in holds and appearances. He works a lot for Brad Ausmus. Fuentes gets the 1-2 in the air, short right. In comes Martinez, and he won't get it. It drops in. Everybody had to hold up, and the bases are loaded. Long strides from J.D. Martinez, but he couldn't quite close the gap, and it's a bloop single for Fuentes.
That's one time as a hitter you're glad to get jammed. That ball right in on the trademark of Fuentes' bat, just floated out there into shallow right field. Nice effort by Martinez, but just a little bit short. D-backs have him loaded for the top of the order, or actually for the bottom of the order and then the top of the order.
Well, Mathis will go back to the dugout, and Chris Herman will hit as the bullpen gets busy for the Tigers. Daniel Stump, the left-hander. So Herman hits for Mathis. The Herminator doubled and homered Sunday in the big win over the Brewers at Chase Field. 167 and 6 home runs. Drury's at third, Descalso at second, and Fuentes at first. That's out of play. Boy, the Herminator was stuck in an 0 for 24. Just missed a home run earlier in this AB and then launched it. Snapped a 12-game hitless drought. A home run and a double in that big win Sunday at Chase. 6-6 in the 8th. Bases loaded, nobody out. Infield creeping in for Detroit. That pitch is inside and it's 1-1.
I wonder if this at bat by Chris Herman caught Brad Ausmus by surprise a little bit. You would have thought he would have had a lefty ready just in case the Diamondbacks pinch hit in Jeff Mathis' spot, but Stumpf just got up a few moments ago. No way he's ready to take this at bat.
Especially when you consider basically all the pinch hit candidates were left-hand hitters if you look at Hazelbaker and some of the other guys available.
Of course, then again, Brad Ausmus may have crunched the numbers and looked at the matchups and decided he likes Alex Wilson on any of the left-handed hitters better than he likes a left-handed pitcher, perhaps on Chris Iannetta.
Well, Stumpf, the lefty who he's got up now, was just called up from AAA Toledo about a week or so ago. They've already used their long man, the lefty Chad Bell. Wilson's a lefty, but he's their closer. So the options in terms of left-hand relievers weren't great for Detroit. Here's the 1-1 to Chris Herman. Missed away, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. D-backs now with 15 hits. Coming in here, facing a good American League team and playing an American League type game. Big hit here can break this one wide open. It's away, 3 balls and a strike. Wilson's already walked 1 in the inning. Blanco on deck. Green light?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Got a piece of the fastball and it's full 3-2. Three-2 to Chris Herman. Foul back.
And with the Tigers playing their infield defense in for a possible play at the plate, and we talked about how big this outfield is, so the outfielders are playing deep. There's a lot of room between the infield and the outfield to dunk one in there. He could hit one like Ray Fuentes did, take a full swing and hit a little floater into the shallow outfield and score 2. Or just hit it in the gap.
One more time on 3-2. Boy, I tell you what, every at bat for Chris Herman the last 2-3 weeks has been exactly like this. He has become a big time grinder. He will wear you out.
Well, what he does, I talk about it all the time. Give the opposing pitcher a chance to make a mistake. Foul off those borderline strikes, foul off those pitches around the edge of the zone, and wait for him to leave one right in the middle.
Bounce to first. Cabrera coming home. They get 1 and they turn 2.
Cabrera could have stepped on the bag at first and then thrown home, but of course it would have been a tag play at the plate. That's a much easier way to do it, the old 3-2-3 double play.
So now it's Descalso at third, Fuentes at second, 2 outs, and the hitter is Blanco. He singled in the first. He's 1 for 4. Trying to bunt his way on, rolls it up the line. And Cabrera has it. Foul ball. Yep, Jerry Lane. It's Jerry Lane's call until the ball gets to the base and the plate umpire says foul.
Now, there was no hesitation. Jerry Lane looking right up that first baseline, saw the ball trickle into foul territory. Cabrera picked it up and applied the tag, but it looked like a good call. Ooh. Although that last bounce, it looked like the ball was still in contact with the chalk, but as Cabrera grabbed it, it was in foul territory. It was a good idea trying to bunt your way on there. Cabrera was playing extremely deep down there at first base, and I would call him a disinterested defender at first.
I would call him a slow one.
He's just thinking about his next at bat.
I like Gregor Blanco in that foot race a lot, but now he's down 0-2. D-backs had bases loaded, no outs. Had a double to lead off the 7th in a tie game. Couldn't get the run home. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 8th. And now they need a 2-strike, 2-out hit from Blanco.
Diamondbacks have actually had 3 leadoff doubles in the last 3 innings.
None of them have scored. D-backs haven't scored a run since that 4-run third. Had a whole bunch of hits since then. A couple of walks, but nothing across. Avila and Wilson get together. Bracho got a big out to end that Tiger threat in the bottom of the 7th. Here's Taijuan Walker, who starts here tomorrow night. 1-2 on Gregor Blanco.
A good pitch to hit and put a good swing on it right there. Just a little bit under that one. Fouled it straight back.
Chris Owings' error, one of the key plays in this ball game. It opened the door for a 6-run Tiger 6th. After D-backs were up 6-0. 1-2 to Blanco. Fastball away, nothing doing. It's 2-2. Blanco lately has really seen a lot of pitches up there. Very selective at the plate. Taking a lot of walks, especially against right-handers. Got an on-base percentage versus righties this year at .460. Two and two. Check swing roller, and it goes foul. That would have worked out beautifully.
Oh, it sure would have.
You couldn't have placed it better.
The check swing, swinging bunt.
Exactly. Blanco tonight has singled, struck out, flied out, and into a double play. Another one on 2-2. Skies it deep right center. Martinez and Presley over there. J.D. Martinez has it. Diamondbacks, bases loaded, no outs, cannot get a run across, and it stays tied at 6. Detroit, the Diamondbacks had a 6-0 lead. Tigers came back in a wild 6th inning to tie it. D-backs have had some golden opportunities in the late innings, haven't been able to get the go-ahead run across, so we're still tied up as we start the home half of the 8th inning at Comerica Park. And the new pitcher for the 3rd consecutive game is Archie Bradley. Archie worked the last 2 games in that Brewers series, threw 7 pitches in 1 inning on Saturday, came back and gave you, how about this, 1 inning, 8 pitches on Sunday. He has been remarkably efficient. And he's on to face Justin Upton, Nicholas Castellanos, and Alex Presley in the Tigers' 8th inning. Chris Herman, who hit for Jeff Mathis, stays in the game. He takes over behind the plate. Justin Upton walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 2, a 10-game hit streak on the line. Or Diamondbacks with leadoff doubles in each of the previous 3 innings. And they just have not been able to get that go-ahead run in. Upton hitting .410 during his 10-game streak, which includes 4 home runs. Hard to shortstop, right to CO. Upton 0 for 3. Here's Nicholas Castellanos. Now, just like Upton, he came into tonight with a 10-game hitting streak, but he singled twice and scored a run. So make it 11 straight for Castellanos. Tigers bullpen is busy. There's the left-hander and the closer, Justin Wilson. We just saw Alex Wilson, the right-hander. No relation. Fastball in, 1-0. Castellanos, during his now 11-game hitting streak, has homered 4 times. In fact, he's homered in 3 of his last 4 games. That's a strike, says Jerry Lane. 1-2.
Yeah, Chris Herman kind of caught that one funny. He had set up on the outside corner. Archie threw the fastball back to the inside corner. Chris was reaching for it as he caught it, but it was in the strike zone.
Got him. 97 from Archie, blows him away. What's another word for dominant? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Get your thesaurus out.
I mean, it's, you know, like we said, 7-pitch innings, 8-pitch innings. I mean, the guys are just overmatched. Center fielder is Alex Presley. He had an RBI single as part of that wild Detroit 6th. D-backs in the 9th will have Peralta, Goldie, Lamb, 2, 3, and 4 due up. The closer is warming up in the bullpen for the Tigers, as we showed you a moment ago. Fastball away is 1-1.
Diamondbacks will have David Peralta, Paul Goldschmidt, Jake Lamb, the first 3 scheduled hitters in the 9th. Pretty sure we're going to see Justin Wilson come in out of that bullpen regardless of what happens here.
Didn't get the call that time, and it's 2-1. Alex Presley's a guy who's bounced around. First 4 big league seasons with the Pirates. Since then, the Twins, the Astros, the Brewers, now the Tigers. Fouled away, and it's 2-2. Able to check his swing of the breaking ball. Full count, 3-2. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop, on deck. A lot of foul ground here. Herman and Lamb are over there, but it's off the roof of the Tiger dugout. Pretty good crowd here tonight, just over 25,000. First to 2, the D-backs and the Tigers. Tigers starting a homestand. They'll play 2 against the Diamondbacks, then 4 against Tampa Bay. They, like the Diamondbacks, have been on the road a lot lately. They were in Boston over the weekend. He walked him. Jose Iglesias has singled twice, knocked in a run. He's 2 for 3. Presley can run a little bit down there. He's got center fielder type speed. Close at first. The great Omar Vizquel coaching at first base for the Tigers. The shortstop.
You mentioned Presley's speed down there at first base. He had some big stolen base seasons at the minor league level, but it hasn't translated to stealing bases at the major league level.
Just 2 for 2 this year. He was called up to the minors not too long ago.
Yeah, the most he's ever had in a big league season is 9 back when he played with the Pirates.
Fastball is in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Iglesias, the number 9 hitter.
We talked a lot this year about the Diamondbacks catching core and their ability to frame pitches and make them look better. Unfortunately, that was one time. I think Chris Herman took a strike away from Archie Bradley. That looked like to be a pretty good pitch on the inside corner. It just hit off the heel of the glove and ricocheted out into the infield. Did not get the call that time from Jerry Lane.
1-1 to the Tiger shortstop. Third base for Jake Lamb. Trouble getting it out of his glove. Low throw and a tremendous backhand stop by Descalso, as Lamb had trouble getting a grip on that one. We'll head to the 9th inning. David Peralta, Paul Goldschmidt, and Jake Lamb due up for the D-backs in a 6-6 ball game.
The top half of the 9th inning, Jake Lamb had some issues with that little Jose Iglesias ground ball down to third base. Initially couldn't get it out of his glove. Had to take an extra step or two across the diamond, then threw it in the dirt to Daniel Descalso. Fortunately, Jose Iglesias not running hard. He's watching the play at third, jogs the last half of the way down to the bag. If he runs through the base right there hard, Tigers
safe.
Are still hitting. Yeah.
Not good.
Not good at all. Fortunately, we don't have to say that about the Diamondbacks. When they put a ball in play, they run hard to first base.
Now here from the firm of Wilson & Wilson, it's the left-hand version. This is the closer, Justin Wilson. 37 strikeouts in 25 innings this year. He's up there to face David Peralta, Paul Goldschmidt, and Jake Lamb. 2 lefties here, 2, 3, and 4 in the D-backs 9th inning. Peralta lifts it the other way, pretty deep left field, and it's gone! David Peralta, that's his 6th and his 3rd hit tonight. 7-6 Diamondbacks. He sliced it the other way and it carried out of here. Second consecutive game with a home run for the freight train, and the D-backs have the lead.
How about that? 3 leadoff doubles in the last 3 innings. Diamondbacks couldn't get a runner on the plate, so hey, go ahead and hit it over the fence.
And Peralta, remember his last time up in the 7th inning, he led off the inning with a double against the lefty Chad Bell. And now he leads off the 9th with a home run off the lefty. This time it's Justin Wilson. Here's one more look.
Straight over the top fastball, outer part of the plate. David does what he's done so many times this year. Go with the pitch.
Just got enough of it. Here it is. It's gone, Dave. 7-6. Here's Goldie now. 0-1. Goldie the DH tonight. He's got a 3-hit night, 2 singles and a home run. And we told you there were some Diamondback fans here with us. One of them just caught that home run ball.
Nice.
Diamondbacks get a run across for the first time since the 3rd inning when they scored 4. They've hit 3 home runs tonight. Goldie and Drury in the 3rd, now Peralta to give them the lead in the 9th, and the former Tiger, Fernando Rodney, will start to get loose in the D-backs bullpen. 1-2 to Goldie. Well, remember when Peralta led off the 7th with that double, he hit it deep to right center. But that home run the 2nd time tonight, he's gone to left field or left center field, using the whole field. David Peralta. A home run in the 7th inning Sunday against the Brewers at Chase Field. Now a huge home run in the 9th here in Detroit.
Boy, Goldie getting some good rips at Justin Wilson here. He's one of those lefties I call very pure with his delivery. He's right over the top. Very tough to get any sink on the ball. Occasionally you can cut the fastball a little bit with that pure over the top delivery, but Goldie's obviously getting a real good look at him here. This at bat has had some big swings.
Well, Wilson this year, 25 innings of work and given up only 15 hits. Came in with that one, still 1-2. David Peralta, the hit that hopefully bails them out of a defensive disaster. David has really done well against left-hand pitchers this year. That was his first homer off a lefty this season. Still 1-2 on Goldie. Popped him up behind second base. Kinsler's there. First out. David Peralta, he's a triple shy of the cycle now. Single, double, homer, he scored twice. Jake Lamb now. Jake 2 for 4. Lamb, as he steps in here, 8 for 59 versus lefties this season. It's about a 130 average. Wilson misses upstairs and Jake's ahead 2-0. Diamondbacks now 7 runs on 16 hits. Archie Bradley after that 8th inning now in line for the win. Rodney warming up at the bullpen. D-backs, a team who came into this series and this road trip hitting only .219 away from Chase Field this year. Tied with the Cubs for the worst road batting average in the majors, but they put up some big numbers here tonight. Lamb ahead 3-1. Chris Owings on deck. CO had an RBI single in that 2-run first. Here's Torey Lovullo, the former Tiger. Swing and a miss on that fastball, and it's full 3-2. Ball 4, he lost him. A run is in on the Peralta homer. And now a one-out base runner for Chris Owings, who's 1 for 4. 16 hits for the Diamondbacks, ties their season high. They've done it 3 other times. Tigers in the bottom of the 9th inning. We'll have the top of the order due up. Kinsler, Avila, Cabrera 1, 2, and 3. And the Martinez is behind them. Chris Owings, with that RBI single in the first, has now knocked in a run in 6 of his last 7 games. Out of play, and it's 1-1.
Daniel Stumpf, another left-hander getting loose for the Tigers. I'm sure Brad Ausmus doesn't want to extend Justin Wilson too much farther in this ball game. He is the closer, and you do want him available for tomorrow in case there's another safe situation. Already thrown 17 pitches here with 1 out in the inning.
We talked about how the Diamondbacks and Cubs were tied for the worst road batting average in baseball coming into today. D-backs 7 runs on 16 hits. The Cubs scored 14 today. Against the Mets, they had 5 homers, with Anthony Rizzo batting leadoff. Beat New York 14-3.
That just sounds funny, doesn't it?
This is that fastball, and it's 1-2. That game was at Citi Field in New York. Good news for the Diamondbacks. Rockies have lost again. Pirates beat them in PNC 5-2.
Charlie Blackmon held hitless for the first time since 2013, I believe.
There goes the runner. Lamb breaks for second, and Owings fouls it back. D-backs came into tonight only a game and a half behind Colorado for the National League West lead. So the Rockies lose again. Boy, they couldn't lose at all for a while. 5-2 the final in Pittsburgh. They've lost 2 straight there now. Andrew McCutchen hit 2 home runs. One and 2 on Chris Owings. Dodgers are at Cleveland right now. LA leads 7-5. They're in the 9th. Kenley Jansen has come on to close. I know we run a lot, but
well, it is Jake Lamb.
Yeah, the biggest threat they have, according to some scouting report that's floated around out there for years. And as a result, Jake sees more throwovers there than Lou Brock.
Talk about your fake news.
You're right. After all, he has stolen 3 bases this year. Theo finally gets his fastball and fouls it straight back. D-backs trying to get to 14 games over 500. Pull within a half game of Colorado. Lamb breaks. They got him hung up. Oh, they throw it away. Cabrera throws it into left field. Jake Lamb was a dead duck. You called him a disinterested defender.
Yeah.
You were proven correct again.
There are times he'll be down there defensively at first base with his hat on the back of his head, talking to the guys in the first base dugout, talking to the umpire as the ball is being delivered. That time just a wide throw to Iglesias at second base, sails out into left field.
Now Wilson's at 20 pitches. Tack on runs in scoring position. 1 out, still 1-2 on Chris Owings. Brandon Drury, who's 4 for 4 with a homer and 2 doubles, is on deck. CO putting up a good fight here. No error on that throw, by the way.
Jake will get a stolen base and draw more pickoff throws.
Add it to the report. Stole another one last night. Look out, Tony Perez-Chica. I guess because of the position of the runner, he had to throw around him. They decided no error.
Getting back to Justin Wilson once again, that delivery of his, I really think that because he has nothing that moves away from a right-handed hitter. He throws a four-seam fastball that's straight. He cuts a fastball that moves into a righty, and he throws that big breaking ball that comes into a righty.
Needs a two-seamer or a changeup, something?
Well, you know, that's up to the Tigers, but it would seem like some of the swings we've seen in this inning, there's no fear that he's going to throw something moving away from the right-handed hitters. Saw Goldie take some vicious hacks against Wilson before flying out. And now Chris Owings, a lengthy at bat. He's had some really good swings on the left-hander.
Fouled about 5 or 6 fastballs straight back. Jake Lamb at second. 1 out, a run is in. Trying to get him to chase. He lays off. It's 2-2.
That was a pretty good pitch.
Jerry Lane, the crew chief, behind the plate.
And once again, I think because of the way the Tigers catcher caught that ball, it took a strike away from Wilson.
Alex Avila back there tonight. Jam shot pop up behind first. Kinsler's got it. 2 down. Well, here's Brandon Drury, who's had a career tonight. RBI single in the first. 2-run home run in the third. His 3rd consecutive game with a homer. And doubles in the 6th and the 8th. He's a triple shy of the cycle, 4 for 4. Hoping to get Lamb home from second and 2 outs.
I'm not sure of Justin Wilson's history, but he pitched 2 days ago. He's thrown 25 pitches already here in the top of the 9th. The Diamondbacks may have eliminated the Tigers closer for tomorrow's ball game.
You know, we saw Stump, the lefty, in there. He's been ready for a while. I know you've had some right-hand hitters up, but wearing out your closer here. Drury jumps on a fastball but fouls it back.
Look at the swings these righties are taking against Wilson. That had some bad intent right there by Brandon Drury. He was looking to hurt somebody out in the left field bleachers.
Drury has hit safely in 4 straight games, 6 of his last 7. And he's homered 4 times in his last 6. It's a roller to Kinsler at second. Lamb is left stranded, but Peralta's leadoff homer gives the Diamondbacks a 7-6 lead. David Peralta slices one the other way off the Tigers closer. 7-6 Diamondbacks, bottom 9 on the way. Half of the 9th inning, the Diamondbacks have a 7-6 lead. And here is the closer. It's the former Detroit Tiger, Fernando Rodney. The ash line call to the bullpen. 16 saves for the Diamondbacks in 19 chances. He has not given up an earned run now in 13 consecutive games.
Rocky start to the season for Fernando Rodney, but boy, has he settled in. 16 out of 19 in save opportunities. Opponents hitting .222 against the D-backs closer.
He is 2 for 2 in save opportunities here at Comerica Park against the Tigers. Of course, he played 7 seasons with the Tigers, and over those 7 years accumulated 70 saves, including a 37 save season back in 2009, his final year here in Detroit. He'll work to the top of the order. Ian Kinsler, Alex Avila, Miguel Cabrera, 1, 2, and 3. Kinsler singled and scored in the 6th. He's 1 for 4. Yes, he went. It's 1-1. Fernando Rodney last worked Saturday's game against the Brewers at Chase Field. Picked up his 16th save. Through 19 pitches, had a walk and a strikeout. 2 balls and 1 strike to the Tigers' second baseman with Avila on deck. Fastball's by him, and it's 2-2. Lifted along the left field line. Blanco's over there. Foul ball.
It's right near that area where the stands come out very close to the foul line. Blanco looked like he was going to go to the short side of the foul territory, but the ball actually hit on this side of that area that juts out near the field.
Third base, Jake Lamb. 1 out. Alex Avila walked in the first. He's 0 for 3. Avila 9 home runs this year. He's homered twice in his last 4 games. 0-1. Drops that split change in there, and he's ahead, no balls and 2 strikes.
Well, there are times when it looks like Fernando Rodney kind of turns that changeup over a little bit, gets it to break almost like a screwball, away from a left-handed hitter, down and into a right-handed hitter. That ball started almost right at Avila, tailed right back over the outer third of the plate.
He's a modern-day Carl Hubble. Fastball sailed on him. It's 1-2. I don't think Carl Hubble wore his hat like that, though.
Probably not. And Carl Hubble didn't own a bow and arrow.
Cabrera has doubled his last 2 times up. He's on deck. Shift is on against Avila. Fastball away, missed. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. They give Avila everything on the left-hand side. Drury, the second baseman, where he'd normally be. Owings, the shortstop, is out in field right. That's Lamb in the shortstop spot. Descalso on the line at first. Called strike 3. Got him with that screwball changeup split thing. Avila does not like the call by Jerry Lane.
He might not like the call, but it looked like a good pitch. Once again, that late tailing action, bringing that ball back to the inside corner.
Ron Wall standing by. Diamondback Live postgame show is coming up next on Fox Sports Arizona. First, we got to get rid of Miguel Cabrera. He was 2 for 4. He doubled in the 6th and doubled in the 7th. D-backs a chance to get to 40-26 on the year. 14 games over 500. Rockies have lost in Pittsburgh. D-backs would be only a half game back of Colorado. Fastball in, 1-1. Victor Martinez is on deck. Fastball missed, 2 balls and 1 strike. D-backs trying to improve to 14-17 on the road this year. They'd also be at 8-1 in interleague play this season. So now Rodney's behind 3-1. to shortstop. Chris Owings has it, and the Diamondbacks have the win. There goes the bow and arrow into the sky here in Motown. It was a dicey one there for a while, 3 hours and 48 minutes. They blew a 6-0 lead. They win it 7-6. The Diamondbacks improved to 40-26 on the year.
A very unusual outing for Zach Greinke today, who was in complete command of this game until that 6th inning, and then the wheels came off a little bit for him, but the bullpen does a nice job of stemming the tide, giving the offense a chance to come back in this